Hi there, Andy speaking. Welcome to the next episode in Down the Pub Chat. Just a bit of an intro into it. It's a nice long one, this one. It was 3.5 hours, so I think that's probably the longest podcast that we've done to date. It was really cool. Had great fun. It was nice to get back into it. It was quite interesting actually, because bear with the start. Whilst I was waiting to see if anyone would pop on, my daughter texted me and she jumped on the podcast, which was really cool. So I was chatting to her for a while, and she actually stayed, which was good, and contributed to the conversation a bit later. So yeah, that was really interesting indeed. So yeah, that's my daughter's on the podcast now. It's really cool. We was joined by Camel Finance. Really cool of him to come on. Had a massively great chat with him about all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I think you might find that one a bit interesting. And then later on was joined by Kamazabi, all the way from America. So thanks guys for coming on. It was a really great podcast, really great chat, loads of different subjects, some really diverse and different subjects. So yeah, pour yourself a cup of tea. It's a long one. Enjoy. See you soon. Bye.
I said something, and he was like, "Do you know what, mummy? That's a very good idea." I was like,
What was that?
I was just like, anything. Like, if I say, "Oh, should we do this?" He's like, "That's a very good idea, mummy. Well done." And I'm like, "What?" He
Really?
said a really long word the other day, and I looked at him and I was like, "Wow!" As if that actually, and he got it right as well. I was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Good grief.
I know.
You're growing up really quickly, isn't it? They all
Yeah,
do that, you know?
so quick. And like I was talking to Nan the other day, and she was like, "What like 3-year-olds can do now is nothing like what 3-year-olds could do in like back in the day."
Yep.
Back in the day. Sorry, that makes me sound like really old, but
You're not. And if you was really old, that made me very old.
I feel very old.
Cool.
No, but
But
he
what I think
yeah,
is that they're just interacting a
yeah,
ton. They're just so, you obviously notice it, but they're just constantly switched on,
yeah.
plugged in, as I say.
Like they've been like learning about leaves, and they're like, "Mummy, this is the time of year when leaves fall from trees." I was like, "Okay." I was like,
That's,
"You're not wrong."
there he is. Oh,
It's
that's
good.
really
It's
cool.
nice to see though, because obviously well, I mean, I'm with him all the time, but
Yeah,
I don't get the opportunity to sit there and teach him stuff how like nursery teach him.
yeah,
Um, so it's nice to see a little monkey.
yeah. And is he behaving himself?
What at nursery?
Yeah,
Yeah, he has. I haven't had
no more problems.
no more situations. That's like when the other day when she was like, "Oh, I've got a form for you to sign." I was like, "Oh my God, is it like a good or a bad form?"
Yeah,
And then she told me, I was like, "All right, as long as you weren't the one that actually done it, then."
really.
I was like, well, I'd be mortified. I mean, I was mortified before, let alone like him actually physically doing something like that.
Yeah,
I was like,
bless him.
no, as long as it didn't like break skin or it was like done maliciously, then I
Yeah,
was like, it happens. Do you know what I mean? Kids will be kids.
absolutely.
Um,
That's
but
cool.
yeah, he's doing really well.
Hello, Carol. How are you?
Evening. I'm okay. You all right?
Yeah, not bad. Say, my this is my daughter on here as
Oh, no
well.
way. Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
All right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Good.
yeah. She quickly before I just was setting this up, she quickly texted me and just said, "Hello, Dad. How are you?" And I
Oh,
said, "I'm just starting a podcast." I said, "Jump on if you want to." So yeah, she's just jumped on. She's telling me how my grandson's been getting on.
is this the 1-year-old?
No, he's 3 before in February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
This the one you pay sticks and mud with or something?
sticks and all sorts of stuff. He's
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's into his golf though, Kirsty, isn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't stop. Golf
Well,
this, golf that.
yeah.
Cool.
And Kirsty was saying like how plugged in and how yeah, just basically plugged in and grown up they are so early now.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. Well, how old are your nephews and nieces or
The
nieces? And
youngest, are you talking to me? Yeah, he must be.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The youngest one in the family just turned one yesterday.
Oh, wicked.
And then they go, there's a 2 and a 4 year old and a 6 year old and a 9 year old. And that's where it stops at 9. So the oldest
Yeah.
is 9, the youngest is 1.
All right, cool. So you've got, did you say 2 and 4 as well?
2 and 4, yeah, they're the two I have the most often. They're Mrs. Camel's sister's kids.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So are they well plugged in or really into everything?
Yes, they are. Yeah. I can remember I mean, I think it's probably like a monkey see, monkey do thing, but even I can remember them when they were not even 1 years old or just over one.
Mhm.
And if they ever got hold of a phone, they'd pick it up and then they'd put their finger on the thumb pad that unlocks it.
Yeah.
You could see them trying to unlock it with their finger. And I was always like, that's like the weirdest thing ever, like
Yeah.
obviously they see us doing it or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, this seems very intuitive to all of them.
Extremely. I think Kirsty Grayson's like well plugged in, isn't he? Hello? Oh, she's gone.
No, sorry, it was just Charlie talking to me.
All right, sorry.
What was you saying?
I was saying Grayson's well plugged in, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, too much.
Mm.
Too much.
And has he picked it up really? He picked. Well, I'm saying, has he picked it up? I know he's picked it up really quickly, but you see him day to day, and is he interacting with technology like really easy now?
Yeah, but even like with golf, look
Yeah,
at him and thingy and football.
yeah.
I think as long as it interests him, he he will engage with it and he does focus on it.
Mm. That's cool. It's really cool. So, dude, Camel, how are you, dude?
I'm okay. Bitcoin's
Yeah.
at all-time highs. Can't complain.
Sorry?
Big Bitcoin's at all-time highs. Can't complain.
Oh no, mate, it's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad.
Yeah.
It's really funny and funny. As Kirsty, you listening? Probably not. Anyway, I was
I am
looking.
listening. My
All right, okay.
earphones in. I just
So,
don't want my child who's screaming in bed in a minute. So
right, okay.
to bug you.
It's really interesting. I was looking at. I put in. Oh, crikey! Back for my grandson. I think I chucked some money into Bitcoin in a cold wallet back in 2022 and into 2023, and also like with Kirsty with her birthdays and bits and pieces. I just put a little bit in, and I was I was looking at it earlier on today, Camel, and I think my grandson, I'll put in about 200 quid, and Kirsty's account was about 150, and it's now at nearly 900.
Wow.
And I haven't added to it at all.
Wow.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah. There's nothing like it.
No, it's absolutely crazy. It's really cool. What an incredibly unbelievable savings scheme. It's blown me
I
away.
saw something on Twitter earlier where
Mhm.
a guy had been put in £210 a week dollar
Yeah,
cost average
yeah.
since 2016, and it crossed £1 million today.
Wow, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised.
It's a total investment of like £86,000 or something like that. That's what he put in, and it just cost £1 million
It's nuts,
over,
isn't it?
over 8 years. Yeah.
Absolute nuts. It's yeah, it's a really weird. yeah, when you see what it's doing at the moment, it just makes you. Well, it's definitely made me sit there and just really have a lot of belief in why I got into it in the first place.
Yeah.
When you go through these moments, and I said to my son this morning, that's Aaron Kirsty, when I took him to work this morning, I said to him, "How can you like? We've been in 3 years now, so we're coming up to our like. Obviously, our next year is we can actually say we are officially one cycle, Bitcoin
Yeah.
cycle friendly,
Yeah.
and it's incredible when you look at the whole journey and the whole story
Yeah.
and the emotion and the sentiment that we've gone through. It's it's a crazy, really cool moment. I think, anyway, personally,
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
it's really, really cool, and to see it doing what it's doing, it's really fun. I don't know if you saw my stupidity on Twitter earlier on, but I put a post on there. For God's sake, will you just let it be free?
Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah,
Did you see that? And
I did see that.
I think
Yeah.
30 minutes later, it happened to go through 18 and went up to 81 or something.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought, good, there's a good boy.
Yeah.
Let it go, for God's sake. Let's see what it can be. But it's interesting, very interesting indeed. You must be very, 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 very. I don't know what proud. I don't know whether proud is the right word, but pleased with your conviction over what you've been saying for ages now.
Yeah. I mean, it. I don't know. It's just business, isn't it?
Hmm. Hmm.
The thing is, it's bittersweet because right now is the hard part. Now you've actually got to sell it.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, not, you don't have to. Obviously, you can
yeah,
just hold
yeah,
it forever. But I'm going to sell it.
yeah,
Um, I'm going to sell at least 90% of what I hold, I think.
yeah,
And that's much easier said than done
yeah,
because there's always narratives like, oh, the US government's going to build a strategic reserve. They're going to buy 1 million Bitcoin over 5 years. That's the latest one.
yeah,
And that's true. It's true and it's bullish. But
yeah,
those are the kind of things that make you think, oh, I'll just keep holding it. And you can't do that because it will crash about 80% at some point.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm in like business camel mode at the moment. I can't really enjoy it until it's done. I will enjoy it afterwards, after I've cashed out and then spent it on some nice things for myself. But
I'm going to try and do this. That's supposed to be a boat, if you can see it.
all right.
No, it's tough. It's really thing. Who was I talking to the other day? I think I was talking to Cobra, and I said I have a tendency to forget that that you're doing this for work, for business,
Yeah.
and when you're ripped up on what on social media and watching whatever, you forget that some people are actually doing this for a living. Like I get off my arse and go out as a plumbing and heating engineer,
Yeah.
and I said to him that, and he went, "Yeah, we." He forgets as well, and I said, "Yes, this is what he does for a living." So the whole purpose and the whole thing that you're doing it for is so different to what I'm doing it for, or anyone else is doing it for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you put it into the concept of that's your work, that's your livelihood, it's very different indeed, I should imagine.
It's a bit added pressure.
Mm,
Because I could set myself back if I cocked it all up. I could set myself back 5 or more years worth of hard grind.
yeah.
So So yeah, it's important. It's like an added layer of pressure, and I got to do it in front of a live audience now as well.
Well, yeah, you've chose to do that, haven't you?
Yeah, and if I sell too early or too late, they'll never let me forget it.
Yeah,
So that's an added layer of complexity.
yeah.
Um, but I can do it. I'm sure. I think. I hope. um,
Do you ever sit there and think, oh, for God's sake, why did I start this?
no, not lately, at least. Anyway, I did
No?
go through a phase of that where I was
Yeah,
like, "What are you doing?
yeah,
Just enjoy your life. Spend more
yeah,
time with your wife and that."
Yeah.
But then I realized, I think I said this to you before, the just buying and selling stocks contributes nothing to society or to humanity or to collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And so at least by having a YouTube channel and a members section, which I'm incredibly proud of now,
Mm.
uh, I'm literally watching people become profitable in that members section. And some of those members have been active for over 12 months now.
Mhm.
And yeah, I can see like I am actually making a difference. For a while, I was like, I'm just getting trolled, and
Yeah.
no one cares. No one's even listening. But yeah, I am realizing that it is definitely benefiting a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's what I wanted. And it's also made me sharper. It's definitely made me a sharper trader. I've
Has it?
noticed that. Yeah, it has. I didn't really notice this at first.
Yeah.
But it's given me a degree of confidence that I didn't know I needed.
Okay.
So I realized it's okay to accept that I've worked really hard and I know what I'm talking about. Whereas for a long time, it was like, well, you never know, you never know, you never know, right? But it's
Yeah.
okay. Like there's times when you have no idea, and that's fine, and you can relinquish control over that. But
Sure.
it also feels good to be like, I do know what I'm talking about. Like I have done better in the last couple of years than a lot of people. So, and I mean, in terms of like predicting or calling what's going to happen and staying
Okay.
on the right side. And then even when I've been wrong, I've been able to quickly pivot and get on the right side.
Sure.
So I definitely feel like I've polished a few of my skills off in the process of kind of like showing people what I do every day. So that's
Yeah.
been really, really cool as well. That's been helpful for me. And then, like I say, I feel like you don't contribute anything to the world if you just sit in a dark room by yourself all day buying and selling stocks, especially because it's a zero sum game.
Yeah.
So obviously, if I'm winning, someone else has to lose to me, and vice versa. So it is just a bit like I'm glad that I can give something back now.
Yeah. So mate, it's amazing. Well, I mean, I'm not one of your full-blown members, but it's incredible from what I've learned from my journey of what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I've said this to you a zillion million times, but it's true. It's the ultimate truth. Channels like yourself, especially yours, because we found your channel within, I think, 4 weeks of our first ever Bitcoin purchase.
Yeah, because you
And
bought Bitcoin for the first time the day I launched the channel, right?
no, no, we bought. I think at beginning of March, and I think you launched towards the end of March, didn't you?
March 22nd.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So it was only a few weeks. It was basically a
Okay.
few weeks. So you was one of the first channels that, and at the time, I remember your ultimate passion and
Yep.
explanation of Bitcoin, and that tweaked in with the incredible journey that I went on to learning about Bitcoin.
Yep.
It just sort of backed it up all the time, backed it up, and that sort of ended up sort of just following you for the next 3 years almost. But it's been so worth it for me, big time in my little plan and my big scheme of things. It's helped me tremendously, and I've told you that a zillion million times. But that's an important message to let people listen to, really.
It's been a crazy few years, I would say.
Mm,
Like a lot has happened,
mad, yeah.
both in the markets, but and in the world as well.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's kind of flown by as well. I don't know about you. Does it feel like 3 years? Do you feel like you've been doing this 3 years now?
No, not at all. No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely not at all. It's just absolutely flown by.
Yeah, same for me. And I'm coming up on 1,000 videos posted. Can you
I know
believe
you.
that?
I know. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks. I
And
need to get a life, I think.
well, quite often I sit there and I think, oh my God, this is just sitting in that office all day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are really.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
no, but then that's when I forget that this is your job
Yeah.
as well.
And I chose it. And to be fair, I used to sit in an office when I was a scientist as well. And I
Exactly,
was
yeah.
way more miserable then.
Exactly. Kirsty, can you hear me? Maybe. Don't know.
Yeah, I can.
Oh,
Sorry.
you can. Just to let you know that I found out recently, this will make you laugh as well, Camel, that
Oh,
Perry, this is my oldest boy, Camel,
Yeah.
he now listens to the podcast.
Oh, nice.
cute.
And most of his mates do as well, Kirst.
Wow.
No, check
So,
you out, Padre.
no, no, no. I was just thinking you're on there now, aren't they? Because a lot of his mates know you.
Oh no.
Exactly.
Oh, why you do this to me?
Sorry. Yeah. He said to me the other day, yeah, he said, who's that guy that talks really nicely on your videos, Dad? And I said, you mean Camel? Because none of us talk nicely. And he said, yeah, he talks so eloquently, doesn't he? I said, yeah, yeah, he's a bit of a posh boy,
Posh boy.
but he's not. I did put him right, don't worry. But yeah, sorry, Kirst. Sorry, you can mute yourself if you want to. Don't hang around if you don't want to, sweetheart.
I'm chilling.
Okay, cool. No worries. Yeah, right, Camel. I owe you an apology.
Do you?
I do, mate. I really do. And the reason why I owe you an apology is the last time we was on together on a live,
Yeah.
I got awfully drunk.
Yeah, you did.
I got absolutely smashed. And that was, I'll be honest with you, mate. That worried me a little bit.
What? What did?
Well, did I text you the following day and I said I can't even remember?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
I can't remember it, and I still can't remember it, barring a couple of things.
Right.
But I just wanted to say publicly, like, sorry, dude, I probably left you out on the limb there to a degree, and I haven't watched it. I've just got rid of it. I didn't want to watch it back because I felt a bit shit about how I was, really, to be fair. But one, I wanted to owe you an apology, and two, it really made me think about, oh my God, how have I got here? Why have I got myself in this state live on a video? And the few things I do remember from that live was it. I think at certain stages it got a bit heavy with a few people. Would I be right in saying that? People
What you mean,
brought
like
up,
people in the chat, or
yes, yeah,
yeah, everyone's got a story, right?
yeah, it got quite deep
Yeah, it did at times, I
at
think.
certain times, and that triggered a few emotions inside of me. But what really pissed me off is I thought, oh my God, what use was you to people that are talking about their problems? And I thought, not you, me.
Yeah, yeah.
What use was I at that particular time when I was smashed?
To be fair, we've all done it, just not
Oh,
necessarily live on a stream, but
no, exactly. But
but I mean, we've all done it. We've all drunk too much. I wouldn't worry about it.
I
And to
no,
be
no,
honest, the thing that was difficult was you just didn't really speak much.
no.
Uh, do you want to talk about this? And you were like, no. I was like, okay, well, what do you want to talk about? You were like, no, no, go on, talk about something. I was like, okay, what? And you were like, nah. I was
Yeah,
like, okay. So
yeah.
yeah, it wasn't that bad. It was just yeah, it's just a little hard to converse with you, if you know what I
Oh, I'm
mean.
sure it was. And I just felt like, oh, shit, I don't want to go there. What am I doing, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not beating myself up, and I'm not whatever. Just being authentic about it, really. But that made me really sit there and think about what I want to do going forward and why I'm doing it and bits and pieces like that. And I remember talking. I went down, Kirsty, you know this, but I went down and spent the weekend with my eldest boy
Yeah.
at his new house, and my other son joined me. And Kirsty wasn't invited. No, she started laughing at me. She goes, "Oh,
Thanks, Dad.
yeah, that's right. No, he was. No, he wasn't.
No, I won't. I
No,
won't.
yeah, sorry. It was a bit of a boysy thing.
Rude.
But yeah, I was talking to my eldest boy, and he said, "Dad, don't ever stop." And that's when I found out he actually watches the podcast. And he
Right.
said, "Yeah, a couple of my mates watch it as well." And I said, "Oh, that's really cool." And then I thought to myself, "Oh my God, I need to sort of just be a little bit more." be a little bit more responsible in what I'm doing. But he turned around and he said, Dad, we had a massive conversation about social media,
Yeah.
which I found really fascinating. And he's unplugged himself. Him and his mates have totally unplugged themselves from social media, other than certain things that they might like to watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
But he said that whatever you do, if you continue, just keep it authentic, regardless of how you are or how you act. Just be you,
Yeah.
and just make sure you're authentic. So he said, like, if you get pissed, you get pissed, But I said, oh yeah, but I don't want to do that all the time. So it's probably not very good for my health, because it took me 2 days to get over that.
Did it?
Oh mate, my stomach was awful, absolutely awful. So that was another good reason not to do it, really. Hence the cup of tea tonight.
Nice.
But I wanted to say, yeah, sorry, because I felt really bad. It's yeah, I didn't particularly want to leave you in the lurch like that, because it probably was really difficult. And I do remember that I probably could have gone a bit deep and dark really towards the end of it. And it's not what I wanted to do in that sort of situation. So,
Oh,
hey
that's
ho,
okay, mate. No
yeah.
worries at all.
But no, thank you,
No worries at all.
thank you for getting through the live. But I won't do that again. That's for not at that level. That's for
You know
sure.
what? I did it. I did it once on one of it was like our second or third Whiskey
You
Wednesday.
you
And
did
by
do.
the grace of God, you forgot to hit record on the second half.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I got away with it
You did. Yeah, you was
because
pretty
you forgot to
pissed.
hit record after we went for a toilet break.
Yes.
But yeah, far be it from me to judge because I did the same thing.
No, yeah, but it's not about judging. I just wanted to, like, because I felt really bad. It's not a healthy position for anybody to get themselves into, albeit, it wasn't abuse. Well, hopefully it wasn't too abusive. I, th- I think Darth run me the following day. He said, I'm just listening to your live, and he said, I can't stop laughing. I said, why is that? And he said, well, you said something to Camel, and Camel said, oh, should we take it outside then? I thought, no, I didn't. What was I saying, for God's sake? I said, no, I'm sure we didn't upset each other. Crikey.
No, you didn't upset me at
But
all.
he,
No.
he found it hilarious. But
So there were some funny moments,
I'm sure, yeah. But
but
I've got rid of it now anyway. So
yeah, no, don't worry about it. We've
yeah,
all
I'm not
we've all
overly
done.
worried. Yeah, but it's just made me really think about the whole aspect of what I'm doing with social media. And I think that little instance for me just made me realize that I lost my way a little bit with what I'm trying to do with the channel, especially with the podcast.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's why. Basically, whoever's listening, that's why I've been very quiet for the last couple of weeks. Just really sitting there thinking about what I want to do going forward, more than anything. So I just wanted to say sorry.
No problem, bro. No problem.
Oh man,
So, all
man,
right. So, upon reflection, where are we going next?
with the channel.
Yeah, has that been decided?
Um, I think I'm would thinking about keeping it authentic.
Yep.
For me personally, like I said to you earlier, I've totally disconnected myself off of social media, pulled the plug on everything that I was doing,
Yeah.
and that has been quite nice. I was finding it personally a bit of a distraction for myself. And as I said to you on a text, my Aaron said to me a little while ago, he said he was amazed that I've actually spent this much time on social media knowing who I am as a person. And I said to him, yeah, this just isn't for me. I can't plug myself in like all the young people do. I just can't do it. I like this sort of face-to-face physical chat thing more than anything. That's what I'm used to. That's what I'm comfortable with. And that's what I enjoy doing. So I think going forward, mate, I would like to try and find a way of doing these sort of conversations more. Almost similar, I suppose, do you know the way Joe Rogan does it? Just conversation about anything,
Yeah.
about stuff that, you know, I don't want to be known as a finance channel. I don't want to be known as any particular type of channel, just an open, encourage people to talk. The other reason why I've been thinking about this is a few people within the members section of, you know, I can't believe we've got members on the channel, have actually reached out and started talking outside of, you know, on WhatsApp and bits and pieces, and just having general conversation about anything, any subjects, and that's proved to me that people have got confidence to talk to me. So I've got to try and find a way of promoting people to come on board and just talk and get used to talking about certain stuff, you know, about being a dad, about being a mum, about being a kid, about being a son, a brother, about in politics, about how, you know, whatever you want to talk about, really, you know, today's struggles or whatever, you know. So
Yeah,
that's
sounds
what I
good.
would, yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Um, you know, obviously keep our spots with the Swigs because I think that's very popular
Yep.
going forward. So yeah, that's I think that's what I want to do, mate, and just be myself really more than anything. Not get drunk too much. I haven't touched any whiskey since.
I think as long as it's authentic, it will do well.
Yeah.
There's demand for authenticity these
Ooh,
days, given the way the mainstream media is all the way it is. Let's leave it at
yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure. It's nutty. It's mad. It's mad. It's mad. It's mad. So that's yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. Then obviously I've got a lot of. I mean, it's hard for me at the moment because being a plumbing and heating engineer, it's my busiest time this time of year. So yeah, I'm just going to find that balance. Try and encourage people. Try to be the proper Uncle Andy. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, try to be the proper Uncle Andy. I want to help people, dude, but I can't help people if I'm pissed.
yeah. You don't know that?
Yeah, I might do. It might show people that that's not how to be, baby.
Do as you say, not as you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there's lots of those thoughts going on, but it's so for me personally, mate, it's so nice that I've just cut that cord for now with social media. It's found that immensely helpful to do that. And that's not that I found anything wrong. I mean, the whole journey's been absolutely amazing, and I do miss that interaction. But I was finding I was interacting just for the sake of interacting, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just interacting just for the sake of it because I felt obliged to,
Hmm.
rather than bringing some sort of value.
Little
Right?
dopamine hit and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's nutty. It's mad. It's I can really appreciate how people get so swallowed into the virtual world of all of this. That's been an amazing experience for me to observe, but it's just not for me as a person,
Yeah.
you know, wholeheartedly. Kirsty's probably sitting there thinking, you're an idiot, Dad. You're an old man. Probably, maybe. I don't know.
Mm, yeah.
Hmm?
Mm.
Pardon?
No comment.
In other words, she does. Campbell, changing the subject, mate. Does that answer your question? Sorry.
Yes, that absolutely answers it.
It does, yeah. Cool. If you want to ask me anything else, then go for it. If not, I want to talk about what's going on
Yeah, please do.
with we've had our elections, haven't we? And there's been all sorts of
Mate, I wouldn't
bloody.
know.
Oh, you wouldn't know?
I'm kind of embarrassed, to be honest. It takes a lot to embarrass me, but I didn't know. I didn't know we had an election. Unless you mean the US one.
No,
Oh, no, I didn't know, mate. I didn't know.
we had the British election. Perhaps about 4, 5, 6 weeks ago now, maybe 2 months ago.
Oh, mate, I don't know. I don't even know who our PM is then.
Do you not know?
I don't think so. I don't know.
A bloke called Keir Starmer.
Who?
The Keir Starmer.
Okay.
Seriously, you don't know?
Bro, you know me, I don't give a shit. I know Bitcoin stuff.
Excellent. Oh, that's really cool. But you do know that Donald Trump won the US election.
Yeah, I knew that. But the
Okay.
real enchilada is he was always the president. But we can take it there if you want or not. That's up to you. But yeah,
Wow, mate. Yeah, go on then. What the hell do you mean by that?
he was always the president. They hid it in these executive orders, and then they made it seem like Biden took office, but he was never in charge. It was always Trump calling the shots. So, and now he's just back in officially. But yeah, he was always the president. He was always chief in command, commander in chief, whatever the thing is. So yeah, I knew about that. I knew about that because I like a good deep rabbit hole. But but yeah, no, I didn't pay any attention to do you know what? I don't even know what the FTSE 100 is trading at. I don't even know what the FTSE 100 is trading at. It's been so long since I've paid any attention outside of the US that yeah, I don't know.
Dude, hang on a minute. You've just thrown me totally.
And what about how long ago was Sunak?
What?
I knew we had Sunak for a while.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That was
And then the last PM I can remember before that was Blair.
okay.
And that's all I got, bro. I don't know. But if you ask me if you ask me about the S&P or whatever, then I know about that stuff. So
Okay, so we won't go too deep on British politics then. Um, Mate, you've just totally thrown me. Now, what do you mean about Trump was always in charge? Is there not a two-party thing over in what's going on there in your mind?
uh he I don't know. I don't know if I can explain it. Like, I basically I watched this documentary a long time ago. I'm sure I sent it to you. It's called The Greatest Show on Earth. Did I ever send you this?
That rings a bell, actually.
And it showed how they basically left a breadcrumb trail
Uh,
for
uh,
for through these executive orders that prevented he never like he stepped down because there was like a threat of I forget what the hell they call it. See, like I let my mouth run and now I can't even defend my points. But if anyone wants to see what I'm talking about, you can watch if you go on Rumble and type in the greatest show on earth, and you can see it. But yeah, they left all these executive orders that basically left him in charge, and they can do so under all of these these special like loopholes in their law or whatever. And yeah, so that's what I think. That's what I think. I think he was always in control. And I think really everyone knows this. Everyone knows this. If you look at Biden and go, was Biden calling the shots? Obviously he wasn't. Right, obviously, the guy couldn't read a teleprompter, couldn't walk in the right direction. Was he really making decisions? Of course he wasn't. So everyone kind of knows this intuitively. Everyone saw that they stole the election as well, right? We all saw that. Anyone with eyes saw that that was like not what it seemed. And then I was always like, why is it so obvious? Why have they done it in plain sight? And then, like I said, I watched this documentary and I was like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, but if anyone's interested, okay, because I can't really remember. Yeah, the thing is called The Greatest Show on Earth, and it is on Rumble. You can find it there.
was that the one where he goes off to different people around the world?
Yeah, the capitulation tour.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you see each one of them submit to the US military
yeah.
through like subtle tells.
You did
Yeah,
send it
and
to me, yeah.
I wouldn't have
Yeah.
believed in any of that except I just so happened to be in the room when with my mother. Because I can't even readily identify our royal family, but I was in the room with my mum when the Queen let him walk ahead of her, and she nearly fainted. And I was like, what just happened?"
Yeah.
Right. And then when I watched it years later on this documentary, I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that," because my mum almost fainted. So yeah, I wouldn't have really thought too much of it, but then you know what it's like. You have to kind of go and do all this research down multiple different rabbit holes, and then slowly
Yeah,
but surely you can piece it all together and make your own decision. But that was my decision. My decision was I agreed with what was in that documentary, and I thought that made the most amount of sense to me.
okay, so can you remember when he did that? Was that when he was in power? His party was in power, or did that go on when the Democrats were
I
in?
think he was a stand-in president because
Okay,
it was also like the first president to step foot in North Korea, right?
yeah, yeah.
And that was part of it. Putin handed him a football or something, if I recall.
Hmm.
Um, he was the first non-Japanese bloke allowed to pull a samurai sword out of somewhere.
Okay,
It's like all of these subtle tells. And again,
yeah.
like I mean, people might think I'm crazy. I don't mind. It's fine.
No,
But yeah, there was like this whole capitulation tour where they basically got people to submit to it. And now it's all ready. So now we're ready for that fourth turning, basically, I think. I
but
think.
yeah. Well, that's what is going through my mind now. That all makes sense. It makes sense to say when he was talking about before the election, when he's saying, I can stop the wars, I can stop this, I can stop this. And yeah, that makes sense. If he's got that sort of
Oh,
clout in the world.
you know what else was interesting? Part of this whole idea is that he took the gold and the power back from the Vatican and what's the other place? The Vatican and some other place. But there's a picture, there's that famous picture of him and the Pope shaking his hand. The Pope looks miserable as sin. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, I know, yeah. Yeah,
You could tell the Pope is fuming. So
yeah,
yeah, anyway, people need to see this stuff for themselves because I know like if you just hear what I'm saying, no one's gonna think anything
yeah.
of. But
It
yeah, yeah,
can't,
it's worth watching and it's worth digging into. And you can pull those docs that are in the documentary as well and cross-reference them. They do add up, but obviously don't take my word for it.
no. So
And sorry, one more thing,
no, that's
because
fine.
this sounds absolutely crazy, and I appreciate that.
Go on.
But in that,
Without crazy.
it shows the death of Biden, and they show his grave in this thing, and like that, blah 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 blah. And then you go, well, that means that wasn't the real Biden. And I know how crack pipe this sounds, but I've said it before, I'll say it again. All you have to do is run a Google search for Biden's earlobes, right? There's
Yeah,
two types of genetic earlobes. One are attached and the other are detached. And if you look, he shifted from one to the other. Like, again, I think they do this stuff on purpose, but
yeah.
maybe my brain is fried. Maybe that's what it is. But yeah, check it out. See what you think.
Maybe you should take your dog for a walk a bit more often.
I take him for a walk every day, at
I
least
know
an
you
hour
do.
and a half. And
I
I
know
took
you
him for
do.
about 2.5 hours today on the beach. It was lovely.
Yeah. It's it's
But don't
it's
laugh at the earlobe thing until you've Googled it and seen it for yourself, because then
yeah.
you'll be like, "Yes." you know? Sorry.
No, 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 it's fine. It's so frustrating, isn't it? Because it isn't until and I wanna explore why is it that we can sit there and think when you listen to these things and you start to think logically and you think, well, that could make sense. It doesn't sound as crazy as what when we say, oh, this sounds crazy. It doesn't sound crazy when you actually put a little bit of work and study into things and just look at things from your own point of view and quite logically. And I quite often ask myself the question, why? Why am I so fascinated? Is it because possibly we have been? I'm amazed my daughter's still listening to this and not thought, oh, Dad, you're crazy. Have we possibly been so drip fed a narrative where we haven't ever had to think outside of what we're taught from school? That whole thing from being young, labeled, whatever, to now, it's almost a time where you can actually, this doesn't feel right anymore. This doesn't play right anymore. This doesn't make sense anymore. And then you've got the internet carrying so much information that it allows you to then sort of almost do your own exploration journey. and people call it conspiracies purely because it's outside of what we've always been manufactured to believing. Do you think that's meant to happen, or it's just a natural thing that we're just going through because of this full turning thing?
My theory is there's two sets of elites and they're divided.
Yeah,
And
makes
what you're
sense.
seeing now is the, what do you call it, the deep state or whatever, being, they're finally losing, I think. And do you
Yeah,
know what's really interesting about this is I
yeah,
think the US elections highlighted this
yeah,
really, really well. And that was that Elon Musk has just become like the face of that.
yeah.
There's like Elon Musk, Alex Jones, Trump, Tate seems well involved in this as well, and then like a few other blokes. And they've
Well,
become
you've
like
got,
they've become the front men of this other side of the elite.
yeah,
And then the other half of the elite is like this whole CBDC, social credit scores, you'll eat the bugs and be happy, 15-minute cities, all of that like really tyrannical dystopian stuff.
yeah,
And I think what we're seeing is like this infighting between these two divided groups of elites, and both of them have their visions for the future. And it seems like the whole Trump, Alex Jones, Tate side of stuff is like really pushing through now. And that's what I think we're seeing. I think we're seeing them trying to systematically dismantle the tyrannical dystopian Klaus Schwab, WEF
yeah.
type stuff.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. It really kind of made it dawned on me, like, why is Joe Rogan so involved? Why is Dana White, the guy that runs the UFC, why is he on the stage at Trump's winning not presentation but speech? Why are these people up there? Tucker Carlson, all of a sudden, all these big names that have been fighting the other narrative, so to speak, the narrative against what we've been listening to for the last 4, 5, 6, probably longer than that, really, years. And it dawned on me that this could be maybe that change that has almost been like a bit of a home run type scenario where you wasn't expecting someone to hit a home run, but all of a sudden there's a bit of hopeism in there for some of us. Does that feel the same way for you?
I mean, for me, it kind of feels like I think Cobra mentioned it once before that they would never get away with the CBDCs and the social credit scores and all of that stuff because people would eventually realize it doesn't serve them.
Yeah,
And I think that's why you're seeing all these billionaires like Dana White suddenly step up and be like, I'm not taking this. I'm not having a CBDC. I got too much to lose. And so
yeah,
that's what I mean by when I say these elites are like
yeah,
divided. I
yeah,
think they've tried to push all this tyranny and dystopian stuff on people. And now like there's enough rich people that have clocked it and they're like, no, we're not going to stand for that.
yeah,
So I think we're literally witnessing World War III, but it's going to be fought.
yeah,
It's like the fight for freedom rather than
yeah,
like nukes and stuff and
yeah,
all the
yeah,
countries tearing each other apart like everyone envisioned it
yeah,
would be.
yeah. It's fascinating. It's a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a total game changer for me anyway. It's it's almost given me. I suppose the word is a bit of hope, and that makes total sense of what you were saying. That battleground is at that level, at the boys' club, as I call it, as you know, I call it. The boys' club are fighting it out at the moment on that chessboard because I still, for my day to day being out there interacting with people, most people have no idea what's going on. Have no idea. I would say the majority still, other than maybe the switched on younger generation, maybe. But it makes sense. The boys' club are fighting it out, and they seem to be winning. Or one side seems to be winning anyway.
I hope so. I hope so. The thing
Mm,
that makes me have a little bit of doubt is I don't think I don't I know a lot of people are like, oh, Trump will just print money and save everything, but I don't think there's any save in the economy
no,
and the stock market and things like that. I
yeah,
think that path is inevitable.
yeah,
Um, so I think it's probably going to get harder before it gets worse. But then, sorry, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. But then that's that whole fourth turning thing coming back round again, right? The fourth turning has to be hard so that you can move into a time of prosperity in the first turning again. So yeah, wild times, man. Wild times.
It's nuts. I really did not even. Well, we're starting to see it in obviously Bitcoin. Bitcoin's reacted like unbelievably all of a sudden. I suppose that always had that potential, but yeah, it's bloody wild times. That's what I sent you the other day. What a wild time to be alive. I'll never forget that because it is. And trying to work it out, trying to work it out under the old regime because I just feel like there's a new regime coming now. I'm still struggling to sort of wanting to believe in it because I'm so used to people just shitting on us. Really, it's for a change. It's going to be the proof of being the pudding type thing.
Yeah.
I really do hope that from what Trump said and Cynthia Lamas has said, and is it Bobby Kennedy is, going to be in a position to do something. What they've all said, what's he told? Tulsi Gabbard, is it? Tulsi Gabbard, that's another lady that's heavily involved over there. And Elon Musk, don't know what to make of Elon Musk because every time I look at him, I just can't. He reminds me of Biden. Just got that
Does
fake look
he?
about. He's just got a fake look about him.
Yeah, he's Elon 2.0 as well.
Yeah, and I didn't realize he had 11 or 14 children. So what that's got to do with anything. But I always think like mega rich people have lots of kids to keep the mega rich legacy going. But that's another story.
Have you ever seen the
Yes.
PayPal mafia?
No.
Oh, let me try and find this PayPal. So Elon was involved in
Yes. With Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, was it?
yeah, like the early days of
PayPal.
what do you call it? Yeah, PayPal. Well, the PayPal mafia. Yeah, I found the image. Wait, let me pull this up. Okay, hold up. How do I open image and new tab? So, oh, why is it so pixelated? Let me try this one. Wait, for goodness sake, technical difficulties. Give me 1 second. So
No, you're fine, mate.
basically,
It's fine.
there's a group of people that were involved in the PayPal mafia, right? And then you can have a look at the companies they went on to produce. Three of them went on to produce YouTube, right? Elon obviously went on to produce Tesla and a bunch of other stuff. One of these guys went on to produce LinkedIn,
Yeah.
right? uh, then some of these other companies I haven't heard of, but one of them went on to produce Skype. One of them went on to produce Zoom. Uh, so there's like this weird thing where they were all involved in PayPal, and then they all went on to produce these like Fortune 500 companies,
Yeah.
which is like the weirdest thing ever. One went on to produce Yelp. One went on to produce Genie, Yammer, Jammer, whatever it is. One went on to produce Square.
Yeah.
One went. Zuckerberg was in it as well. Went on to produce Facebook.
Yeah.
Like it's like the weirdest. Like
It's a boys' club.
yeah, what are the odds, right? What are the odds? But the story, notice how the story is like Elon just worked with this guy and he made PayPal and then he sold it and went on to bigger and brighter things.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not really the case. Like, yeah, it's really strange. Like, what are the odds that this group of people that made PayPal also went on to produce all these big companies? It's pretty
No.
strange.
It is, and it's yeah. It's not what you know; it's who you know.
Oh, and sorry, one more was Palantir. Palantir, Peter Thiel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, they're all billionaires, aren't they?
Yeah. It's really weird. Like what how does this work?
It is a club, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a club.
And quite often I just sit there and I think, well, if that was me, I'd be doing the same.
Yep.
You'd do the same, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Oh, and
if
Reddit. Reddit was another one that was born
Reddit
out
was
of the
another,
PayPal
yeah,
mafia. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Weird, bro. Weird.
It is weird, but it kind of backs up all like my intuition, which I don't know where I've got that from or why I've got it or whatever. Always backs up that intuition of the chessboard, you know, and the boys' club.
Yeah.
And you saying what you were saying earlier, I mean, it made sense. You've got two sides of the chessboard. You've got the white side and the black side, you know. Not that that's a racial thing. It's just two sides, you know, that happen to be the colours of the chess pieces, unless you buy different colour ones, of course. But yeah, but you have to be careful what you say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's the same thing, you know. It's that you know the board is the battleground, and I suppose that's the beauty about being human. Everyone's got ideas, and some people want to play them out the way they want to play them out. Then they get into groups, and then they find their mates, their friends, their little clubs, their little cults, and then that just blossoms and booms. And over time, I think a lot of that is spread out of Europe, and that's just spread across the world, isn't it? And just evolved, really. Nothing more,
Yeah,
nothing less.
it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. But getting back to hopeism, I'm kind of hoping that, yeah, that's been a ball out of the park. That one that I wanted, but I wasn't expecting too much. And that's because I've probably got so used to being entrenched and being suppressed in this draconian type state that we've managed to get ourselves into. But maybe this is the breakout, dude. Happy days if it is.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
It's so interesting to see where it could go. So interesting. There's I don't know. There's just so many. I don't know. I just don't. I want to get excited, but I just can't get excited yet. Really, to be honest, because it could be a game changer for a change. For a change until it all gets corrupt again, which
Circle of
it
life.
which it probably will do at some point.
Yep. You can
So
always
I
count on
can't.
humans never to learn, right?
Yeah, dude, come on. Like, I'm going to go back to our politics. Why the freak do you not have any any know-how on what's going on in the UK?
Oh, mate, it's like a party trick of mine. I can be at a party and someone will mention the royal family, and I'm like, "Who's that?" I don't know. I don't know any of them.
All right, okay.
I'm kind of proud of it. Like it's pretty rare that you can avoid all that nonsense and stuff for as long as and as well as I have done. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
the same with celebrities. I can name like less than 15, 20 celebrities, I think. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just have a very narrow focus, you know, like that's what it takes to be a trader. You gotta have all your energy and attention on markets, and I don't really have any time for anything else. And I
yeah.
don't like watching TV and movies, so I don't know anything about that. And yeah, that's it. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Do you give your wife any time?
Yeah,
Good. I'm pleased
try
to hear
to,
it. I'm
try
pleased to hear it.
to.
I'm pleased to hear it. Kirsty be sitting there going, bloody hell, he's a bit, he must live in a cave.
I mean, if you never watch the news, you never watch TV, and you never watch films, then how would you know, right?
It's interesting actually because my oldest boy, Perry, hi Perry, if you're watching, he was telling me, he said, since he come off of social media, he when he's out and about, people asking him the same, you know, do you hear what happened? And he goes, no, what was that then? And that really resonated with what you was just saying as well. And he said, it's beautiful, Dad. It's absolutely beautiful because all he deals with is his present.
Yeah,
What's present in his life, and that's the bit he can control. That's the bit he's in control of, to a degree, obviously. But you know what you know what I mean when I say that. And he said it was a game changer, and I really listened to that, and I thought, yeah, There's a lot to it. We are so distracted sometimes by everything. And, the more you get plugged into this stuff, not that I don't want anyone to stop watching, please watch. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
Plugged into the bullshit and bollocks. Sorry, Kirsty, but
to be fair, I just think I've always thought of the brain like a hard drive on a computer, right? You've only got so many gigabytes or whatever of storage available. And if you fill it up with, because I've got I don't know what you call him a brother-in-law. Yeah, brother-in-laws, right? Got a brother-in-law that's like super into football. It's his entire life, right?
dude, sorry, can I just stop you there? I've
What?
got, I love it when you do this. I've got one of those, I don't know what you call him, a brother-in-law.
Oh, I tell you why.
Love it, love it.
I tell you why. My wife has three sets of parents, right?
Oh, wow, yeah,
So her original mum and dad got divorced, remarried,
yeah,
and then her stepdad has kids with another woman.
okay,
So like they've got her family is those two, and then her dad and her stepmom have other kids,
yeah,
right? So it always confuses me because I'm like, is that a stepbrother or is that a stepbrother-in-law or whatever?
okay, yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why I do that because I'm like, is it what's that guy
yeah.
again? But
Sorry,
but
yeah,
yeah, they're all I guess they're all brother-in-laws, right?
yeah,
What was I going to say? But yeah, he's like super passionate and super knowledgeable about football, and his entire hard drive is just full of football stuff.
yeah,
And you can ask him anything like, oh, who played for this team in this year, right?
yeah.
And he not only knows who played, but he knows how many goals they scored, what positions they were substituted in what games, and like he's like an encyclopedia of football knowledge, right? It's like
Okay, yeah,
his brain is absolutely full, but he doesn't know anything else really, right?
yeah,
Like, and and that's how I always think about it. It's like I know a lot about markets because that's where I put my energy and attention.
sure.
But I haven't got any space left over really for who the president is of the UK, or what's the difference between a prince and a queen and a king, and which one we got at the moment, and all of that kind of stuff, or celebrity knowledge. I know some people that you name a celebrity and they can list off. They're like an IMDb, that internet movie database. You ever seen that?
No, mate, no.
It's just like a database on movie data or whatever, but they like walk-in versions of that. You can just pull a celebrity and they know every movie and who was in the movie and how much they got paid for the movie and all of this stuff.
Wow.
And I just
Okay.
think like that's cool if you're into it,
Yeah.
but I don't care, and I haven't got any space left in this hard drive for my hard drive's getting full now, and I can't be dealing with like learning stuff about celebrities or the royal family or whatever else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just kind of think of it like that. I like to keep as much out as I can to make space for the useful stuff.
Okay. So how from I'm gonna ask, I don't want to get too in depth with what you do because it's boring. Well, it isn't
Thanks,
boring.
mate.
No, it's not boring. It's really interesting, but I'm sure I don't want to get you
No, I know what you
talking
mean.
about
It is boring.
work,
It is boring.
But tied in with that, how do you manage with your trading? Because there's a certain aspect of the macro world you need to know about.
Yeah, but macro is different to politics. I don't think politics makes a difference because
Okay.
I've always worked under this assumption that politicians answer to banks. And that may or may not be true. I don't know. But that is the assumption I use for my approach. So I
Yeah.
assume the politicians actually answer to the banks. I assume it's the banks that make the decisions.
Okay.
And as such, why would I need to look at the politicians? And
Okay.
I'm sure people would be like, well, what about if they change this law? Well, if they do, we'll see it in the charts before it even happens.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing about markets is like you can always tell what's going to happen ahead of time because somebody on the inside always knows, and then they make trades based upon that. So yeah, I just have never incorporated politics, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's fair enough.
And I'll say one more thing as well. I think everyone can agree whether you're into politics or not. But whoever it is, what did you say his name was?
Keir Starmer.
Yeah. If he comes along and says, I'm going to do A, B, and C, you can always guarantee he won't do any of those things.
Exactly.
I
Yeah,
promise I'll deliver on X, Y, and Z. Yeah, all right. And then 3 years later, like we did the opposite of those things.
Yeah.
So So it's like, is there any point? Is there any point paying attention to this guy? I don't know. That's always been my approach. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it works for me.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. And let's change the subject a little bit so it's not too workified. So yeah, we've got to sit and see what happens with politics. I was hoping Ken might drop in,
Oh yeah.
which would be quite useful if he does drop in because he can give us the lowdown on the American side of what's going on.
I'd like to. I'll get his opinion on that. Trump always being in power. That'd be cool.
Mm,
See if
yeah,
he knows anything
definitely.
about that. Seems like the
De-
kind of guy that might.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's curious. You just brought it up again. Do you think that he's not been outside of politics then, or outside of it? That what sort of position do you think he's in then, or been in to
Or
make
been
you,
in.
yeah, to make you say that he's always been in power?
Well, my theory is that the president's supposed to control the military, right?
Yeah,
That's the idea. The president has control of the military. The military are the force and the power. They're the proof of work. So
yeah,
comply or get got by our military.
yeah,
So as far as I'm aware, and based on that documentary I watched and a bunch of other things, and I kind of pieced them together and formulated my own idea and my own theory. As far as I can see, they just kind of took him down from the president, where the world looks at him and goes, "That's who's in charge." They put in this Biden character, and everyone went, "That's the president." Even though we all know, like I said earlier, he can't. That guy can't have been making decisions. He can't have been making high level decisions, at least not according to me. And and so, as far as I'm aware, Trump is still the one that's telling the military how to act and still organizing, you know, how they're going to play this, how they're going to move the pieces on the chessboard, and how they're going to try to stop the whole CBDC thing and the social credit scores and censorship of media and all of that stuff. And I think it was just part of the game plan to do that for 4 years. And part of me thinks the reason they had to do that was to kind of wake some of the people up by deliberately having a Biden type character up front
yeah. It makes sense.
and allowing that whole thing to be put front and center. Part of me thinks that was all part of it, so that people go, you know what, like this kind of makes sense. This kind of makes sense. Um, but yeah, that's what I think. I think he just essentially remained president, but they just don't call him president, and he still had control of the military and executive decision making ability, whilst Biden allegedly did, but really couldn't do anything.
So does that floor the party part of the politics over there?
I,
Because
to
you've got Trump's representing the Republicans, isn't he?
be
Party,
honest, I don't know. I
the
don't know
Reds.
which one's which.
Yeah. And Biden's representing the Democrats. Your Clintons, your Obamas, your oh God, oh who's the guy that the cowboy type bloke? Who was he? Oh, I can't think of his name.
RFJ.
No,
I don't know then. RFK. I mean,
no, the one that was into with the Iraq War.
oh,
He had a,
I don't
he
know.
had a dad, didn't he? Senior and junior.
Clinton, Bush.
Bush, that's it. Yeah. You've got all those that are all part of the Democratic Party, but I didn't think Trump was a part of that party. And if according to what you were saying, if he was still controlling the deeper state side of things, that's almost blows out the party idea, doesn't it? Or not?
Yeah, again, I don't think politics and the president or prime minister, whatever you want to call it, I don't think that is the top level. I
Yeah,
think if you ask your average citizen who the most powerful person in the UK or the US was, they would say the president or the prime minister.
yeah,
But I don't think that's the case. I think there's probably a few levels above that.
yeah.
And maybe that's just, I don't know, conjecture. Well, it is conjecture. I don't know. But that's what I think. I really do. So that's another reason why I don't pay much attention to it, because I really don't think they have anywhere near the decision-making ability
Mm.
that people give them credit for.
Yeah. It's all a circus, isn't it?
Yeah, Roman circus.
Like I put on Twitter the other day.
Yeah.
It is a circus. Oh, that makes sense, really. It does make a lot of sense, but it just
I mean,
blows the.
it could be flat wrong for sure. I might be way off, like way, 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 way off. But to me, it just makes more sense than if you take the whole thing at face value.
Yeah.
You take the whole thing at face value, to me, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Um, and so that those are my ideas. But you got to understand, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about this. This is how I wind down.
Yeah.
Right? When I'm sick of looking at charts, I
Yeah.
uh I go down these rabbit holes for
Yeah.
sport more than anything else.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think too much of it. It doesn't influence my day-to-day, decision making or how I do my day-to-day activities. Yeah, it's just something that keeps me interested, whereas like watching Netflix or TV just doesn't.
Sure.
So yeah, I just prefer to look at that stuff and go, oh, I wonder.
Yeah. Cool. How's wife?
She's all right, I
Yeah.
think. I haven't
Good.
seen her in a few days.
Oh, really?
I'm just kidding.
All right. Haven't been out your cave.
Yeah,
Kirsty, you
no,
get.
she's fine. She's fine. She's
Ki-
going on a Christmas wreath making course of all things.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's really excited about it.
That's cool.
And she's trying to drag me to pottery classes.
You'll have to do a video of that, dude.
Bro, I don't know.
Yeah. Come on.
I got to go to
Pottery.
make sure she doesn't run off with a pottery teacher.
Well, I doubt it. But I have you ever re have you ever watched Ghost?
No,
Oh, really?
no.
Well, when say to your wife that you would like to go, but can we reenact the scene from Ghost? And then can you video it and show it?
Is that a highly inappropriate thing to say?
No, it's a very lovely thing to say.
Is it?
It's not rude or anything. It's
Okay.
just a very intimate scene between Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, but not in a
Okay.
rude way. It's
Okay.
just quite a well-known scene from Ghost, the film
Is
Ghost.
it? Okay.
Quite a
Okay.
good film, actually, to be fair, when it came out. So how's you getting on at work? All right. How's the great old NHS?
It is falling apart at the seams.
Yeah.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if she likes it or hates it. I think it depends what day of the week you ask her.
Mhm.
I think she likes it when there's enough staff there to cope.
Yeah.
But I think routinely there is not enough staff there.
Yeah.
So obviously when there's not enough staff, it's hard to care for the patients properly and get the stuff done. She works in the like cancer blood disorder department.
All right.
So that's quite a high stress environment from like the patient standpoint. Because obviously if you go in there and if you have to go in there because you got something wrong, they're normally telling you got something very wrong with you.
Yeah.
And obviously that leads to a lot of like depression, anxiety, stress that can often manifest as screaming and shouting at the doctors and the nurses.
Yeah.
Uh, so, and then if you're understaffed and can't give them enough time, then they feel like you don't care about the fact they're dying, right? So
Yeah.
the whole thing it can be a bit rough. But I think she likes it, wholly speaking. It's just an understaffing issue
Yeah. It's a
in that
shame, isn't
particular
it?
ward. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones as well where like the other wards in the hospital, they can send bank nurses or shift workers or whatever. But because she's highly specialized, they can't plug the holes when someone's off. Whereas if in like A&E, for example, there's always like a bunch of people that are willing to work overtime. So if someone doesn't turn up because they're sick or on maternity leave or whatever else, they can just plug the hole from bank shifts or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think her department suffers a little bit more from that. But generally speaking, I think she's okay.
How
She
long's
seems
she
to
been
like
in it, mate?
um quite a while.
Years.
I think like 8 maybe.
Wow. quite a while. And has it ever been good? Do you ever get that impression that it used to be okay, or it just gets worse every year?
Uh, um, no, she definitely is happier now than ever before. So she changed. She's basically worked in all possible wards because she
Yeah,
kept getting bored after like 6 months.
sure.
She was like, "Oh yeah, I want to be an A&E nurse," and then she did 6 months in A&E. She's like, "No, no, I hate it. I want to go to this one." So she's hopped around loads, and eventually, because the standard NHS nurse shift is 7 till 7:30, so either 7 in the morning till half 7 at night, or 7 at night till half 7 in the morning. Um, and then outside of the ward she works on now, they don't have any structure or routine in their week. They're mandated to work at least 2 night shifts in a month, and they can just throw Saturdays and Sundays at you as well.
Wow.
Yeah, and you do get compensated like shift premium for those.
Yeah,
Um, but obviously, like, do you want to work night shifts and weekends and have sporadic patterns? And you're like, probably not.
yeah.
Um, versus where she is now is only open 9 till 5 and Monday to Friday. No night
Okay,
shifts, no
okay.
weekends, no 12-hour shifts or 12.5 hour shifts. So she's way happier now. She only works, I think, 2 or 3 days a week. I think 3 days a week. She's going to 2 soon.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Something like that. Yeah, 2 or 3 days. And then she's going to drop a day soon. She's
Yeah,
been trying to drop a day for ages, but they can't get the staff. So it's like a weird one.
sure.
But yeah, so she's happier now than ever before. And she's specialized, which means she earns loads more money than if she wasn't specialized. Um, and she likes she's kind of like book smart, if you know what I mean. So she likes the whole studying and learning kind of bit.
Okay. And do you do you ever have the conversation on whether she thinks it should be privatized or not? Do you ever have that?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we
And
do
what's her
have this
feelings?
conversation a lot. We do.
Yeah.
And her knee-jerk reaction is always privatize it.
Okay.
But then I always have to remind her that we are in a privileged position where that would be no problem for us.
Yeah.
And then I have to remind her, well, what about your brothers who need a lot of expensive care? Oh, yeah, like they'd be screwed. What about my mum who wouldn't probably be able to afford all the medication she needs to not to be able to live, right? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, like that would be bad. So then the more you start to think about it, the more you realize that the privatization would benefit her from a working perspective because she'd get to
Ah,
double her
okay.
salary,
Okay.
right? She'd probably get
Yeah.
treated nicer. That
Yeah.
like things would probably run a bit smoother. They'd be a bit more funded, a bit more professional. But on the flip side of that, the majority of this country would be in a bad
Screwed.
place, right? Yeah, in a very bad place.
Yeah.
Um, and even things like people take statins, people take hormones, people whatever. And right now, I don't know what the price of a prescription is, but probably like 10 quid or something. And because it was like 7, maybe it's like 12. I don't know. It's like less than $15 for whatever you get, right? On
Yeah.
the NHS. And if it went private, you can guarantee like a bunch of those drugs would be like 200 quid a box overnight. So then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, if people need like a month's worth of medication, they could be paying between £200 and £800 a month just to have tablets that stop them dying. So then
Yeah.
you go like, nah, yeah, you know what I mean? Like privatization probably wouldn't work. It might make her life a bit easier. So yeah, we do have this conversation a lot. And wholly speaking, like I said, it's easy to say, yeah, privatize it. But then as soon as you start to think about it, you're like, yeah, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because the other thing she gets, believe it or not so much in the ward she works in now, but something that's very common in the hospital is they get repeat offenders, they call them, which are
Okay.
just basically time wasters. They're like, I don't know, lonely or they're mentally ill or whatever. And they'll just constantly come in and be like, oh, I'm sick. I've got this problem. And really, they just want like the attention or the company or
Hmm.
someone to look them over and tell them they're okay. But it literally costs like thousands of pounds a month per one of these patients. And it wastes all their time, all the doctors and the nurses' time because they have to examine them, even though they know, like, oh, I saw you yesterday and you're fine. They can't just be like, no, leave.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that, and I think that really grates on the staff, at least based on what she shares with me. So yeah, and I think that overall kind of leads them down this path of saying, fuck it, privatize it, screw all these
Yeah,
time wasters. But they don't realize that a lot of people wouldn't even bother calling an ambulance when they needed it if they knew it was going to cost them 250 quid. A lot of people don't have 250 quid.
that's very true.
And if that's like the standard fee for ringing 999 to call an ambulance, then a lot of people are not going to get care when they frankly need it. So you got to have a bit of compassion here. It
It's very,
reminds me of have you ever known any policemen, right? Like over time, police struggle with something, and that is that police deal with the scum of the earth, right? They deal with like people that beat their wives, they deal with like drug dealers, they deal with like violent gang members, all this stuff. That's all they deal with because no one calls 999 and asks for the police for something pleasant, right?
yeah,
So over time, many of the police develop this like disdain for humanity and
yeah,
disdain for people because they're like
mhm,
all they've seen their entire working lives is
yeah,
like scumbags and criminals and wife beaters and all this stuff. And it's really hard for those police to go like a long career and understand that some humans aren't like that. Many humans are not like that, right?
yeah, that's true.
um, but like domestic violence is really, really, really high as a like relative percentage in the police force because it makes these people like really, really bitter because all they deal with is like the nastiness of society.
Yeah,
And I think in a way, I see that in the nurses as well because they
yeah.
regularly see these like time wasters and people that just want attention and all this stuff. And it kind of pushes them to be towards being like, privatize it, fuck everyone, you know?
It's true though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's it's interesting because you've got the same problem with soldiers, haven't you?
Hmm.
Exactly the same problem with soldiers. I I don't know. I think there's this wraps up into this world of the new disease. I don't want to call it disease. Or maybe a pandemic. Trying to find the words to describe what I'm trying to put across of mental health. It's a big thing now, isn't it? It seems to be a big thing. When you look at like asking people that are in the nursing community when they bump into a policeman or try and watch legit documentaries about the police, legit stories about soldiers, and just general welfare of people. The, there's a real big issue with mental health now under the wing of what they call mental health. Now, I can't see that getting any better anytime soon. And we was having a conversation around a dinner table. Me and my wife actually was talking about some issues that were in the family. And back in the day, sounds awful to say this, that you used to have institution places. People used to call them, as youngsters, loony bins, dotted around the country where people went and they were hopefully cared for. But I knew a few places down from Essex that were those what we used to call loony bins, which is being a bit nasty saying that, but we were kids. But you get the drift of what I mean, and they're gone. They went ages ago. And during the conversation, I was thinking, what happened to the people? How did society absorb the issues that those sort of institutions used to look after? And I'm not sure what the answer was, but taking away a part of the care industry that would look after that. Now it's overspilt into everything else, like maybe that your wife sees people that want attention that maybe don't need that sort of care at that sort of place. And I think that's becoming a big issue going forwards. And I think that could be a bit of an issue for most countries, especially in the Western world, if we don't get to grips with it. What are your thoughts on that, dude?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a big thing. And I think a lot of it kind of goes right, at the start of this conversation, very early, we were talking about people being plugged in all the
Mm.
time. I just think that's so far from our biological wiring that it's just not healthy, right? Like to sit on your sofa all day, doom scrolling on Facebook, where you're looking at other people's BS, right? They're putting this image forward that's not even reflective of their real life. And you're scrolling going, oh man, I'm not that attractive. I'm not that rich. I'm not that successful. I'm not that happy. And all you do is like bombard yourself all day with other people's fake nonsense. And then it probably leads to a lot of people feeling really quite lost and hopeless. And I think the more plugged in you are, the less you're going to be outside with nature and the less you're going to be focused on your purpose and the less you're going to be moving towards having some kind of like human experience. Because I think it's
Yeah.
very unhuman. I think it's very inhuman to just be sat indoors all day looking at screens. And I know that's what I do to a certain extent. I know I spend a lot of time looking at charts and computers and in my office or whatever. But
Mhm.
number one, I do that because that's what I'm passionate about. But
Yeah.
number two, like I go for a minimum of an hour and a half dog walk every day because I got a dog and it's a staffy. He needs an hour and a half minimum. Oftentimes, I take him for an evening walk as well. Today, I think I was closer to 2.5 hours, and I took him down the beach and all through these fields and whatever. And I was stopping to look at the birds and the cows and the sheep in the surrounding areas and whatever. So I think even though I spend a lot of the time on the computer and a lot of the time locked into just digits and frequencies, um, at least I do get to go out in the morning, right? And I'm not doom scrolling, looking at everyone else's life. I'm kind of on my own purpose, and I think that yeah, like I said, it's just so anti-human to be sat around scrolling all day or just binge watching Netflix or whatever TV show it is. And I think like getting out into nature and and having a purpose is probably like the two biggest things. If you can go and enjoy life, then it's closer to what your biology is set up to do, right? If you can go
Yeah.
out with nature and experience that and see the fresh air and the smells and see nature like that's what our biology is set up to receive. Sunlight is really important. We don't get much of it, or at least we didn't haven't this year, at least not where I live. But
Yeah.
like getting some sunlight is every day is super important, right?
Yeah.
um Simple things like that probably make a big difference. And I see a lot of people that I went to school with or whatever, and they never leave the house. They just game, they go to work, maybe, or maybe they don't, and then they just game some more, and they're up and they have no routine, no sleeping patterns, right? They'll stay up till like 4 or 5 in the morning playing whatever video games. Um, and yeah, I think if you just do the basics right, then it can certainly help a lot, right? If you like go to bed early and wake up early and make sure you go out for an hour a day, uh,
Yeah.
then the rest kind of falls into place. But yeah, I think like that's what I see. I just see too many people too happy to sit indoors all day and withdraw into video games or social media or whatever it is because frankly it's easier, right? It's easier than figuring out what your purpose is and working towards that. It's easier than accepting that things aren't the way you want them to go, and it's easier than instead of saying well society's messed up so I'm stuffed, I'm just going to sit here and do this all day. Like it's kind of hard to say well society is messed up but I'm going to play the hand I've been dealt and try to make better of the situation. But I also think society is just like set up for comfort, right? Like everything can be done on a smartphone now. You don't even have to leave the house. You can get your food delivered and everything.
Very true.
You can work from home since the pandemic era. Uh, and then you can withdraw away into like VR headsets or computer games or movies or whatever every night. And you never have to see or speak to anyone. And if you're never seeing or speaking with anyone and you're never going outside, then you are probably going to have pretty poor mental health, I would think.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because I'm just trying to let's try and imagine. Okay, let's try and put a scenario together. Two, yeah, husband, wife, mediocre jobs, two kids, young,
2.4 kids, Ford Mondeo, semi
yeah,
detached house. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Joe
sort of
average.
yeah, Joe average, if
Yeah.
there is a Joe average. But when you really think about it, you think, okay, everyone's stressed up to the eyeballs, like dad, mum, probably both working, trying to juggle whatever. The stress of bringing up a family, anyway. Kirsty would be laughing. The stress of bringing up a family, anyway. Then the stress of economically having to work flipping damn hard, mainly most of us probably, well, it's probably the vast majority of people do a job that they probably don't particularly want to do, but they do it because of the end result. But then with economically more pressures, you're finding that maybe you have to do extra work, still trying to be a dad, still trying to be a mum, still trying to bring up the kids, still trying to give them a quality of life. And then it doesn't leave you a lot of time to do much else. Okay, it's a bit of an excuse, maybe, but it doesn't to a degree. Then you plug yourself in because that's what you see. Oh, I can't go out. I'm not going to do this. I'm too knackered. Oh, let's just plug myself in. And then you plug yourself into the doomsday of plugging in. What you were saying, that's going to, excuse my language, Kirsty, that's going to fuck you, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not going to improve your life. And it's a real I think it's a real problem, and it's going to be a real problem unless hopefully people will realize the true values of what you've just said. You know, take the kids for a walk. Just go for a walk. Come, go over the park, or just get yourself out and away from the mundane, everyone's bullshit bollocks that they are projecting out into the world because of their own issues and own problems. Bless them, and you know that's the trap. But it is a real vicious circle, isn't it? And I'd when I go through what I just said, I'd always think back because I've been so fortunate. Oh, because I'm an old bastard. I've been so fortunate to go through life without the internet, where we had to entertain it. You had to entertain yourself. So you either sat in front of the TV, but telly was a little bit boring because there was only a few channels, three. So yeah, it was a bit like you had a good excuse to, especially during the summer, get up, go out, meet up, talk, have conversation, get out and about, be a little bit more social. But now, with all the pressures and everyone, and that's what I hear. Oh my God, when I talk to some of my customers, mate, they talk about their children, and I talk about my kids in the same way. What time do they get? They're under so much pressure now, and I just think, oh man, this is like such a wicked circle of doom, really. And that's where I have to try to sort of, if I can, encourage them to, go for a walk, take Litton over the park, and just give yourself some space, find some time. It's so important, really is important, because then you still got a chance. Your words will still be in control of your own destiny as such, and you can keep yourself sane a little bit, because you know that maybe I've got to make a few decisions here, but you're not going to do that if you're just in doomsday world, which I call it, because everyone's pretending. No, what I've witnessed as well from some of the interactions I've on social media, the people pretend they don't. Other than maybe on a live, sometimes through the chats that we have, some people start talking about certain little things going on, but as a rule, people won't talk about it. They just want to talk about, oh, everything's fine. Look what I've got.
Yeah.
Try and cheer themselves up, which I get. They want to be positive. The amount of times I hear people say, oh, I'm pissed off. I don't want to talk about negativity. I get that, but you can't just ignore it. You can't.
No.
Because if you're ignoring it all the time, it will fucking eat you in the arse one day. It will catch up with you, So yeah, it's tough. It is really tough. I don't know how we got to this part of the conversation. We always talked about mental health, weren't we? But I don't think society's really helping itself because it's all a distraction and it's all to keep you going on that hamster wheel,
Yeah.
in my personal point of view.
Yeah, I mean, what I resonate really heavily with what you just said then, because immediately as you were talking, I was thinking about my niece and nephew,
Yeah,
and from time to time they come round and they stay with me or me and Mrs. Camel, and we'll have them for the day, and they come round and they'll be bouncing off the walls, right? And as somebody that doesn't have kids and is not used to it, I'm like, oh, I can only take this for like half an hour. And I'm like, right, we're going out, right? Grab the dog, put your wellies on, we're going out, right? And I have to take them out, whether it's through the countryside and they go and splash in the streams, or whether I drive them to the beach or whatever. But I got to take them out because otherwise they just drive me insane.
yeah,
And it's funny because it's easy for me to do this because I've got the day off,
yeah,
right? And I haven't got kids, so I'm not drained. And they come round, so it's like, hey, Uncle Camel's here. Like, let's go and do. What do you want to do? You want to go to this place? Okay, I'll take you there. And then we go off and we have this good walk, and then the fresh air gets to them. And then when they come back, because they're all knackered from running around in the fresh air, they chill out, right? And then I get my piece. But I completely understand that if I had them every single day of the week and I was working a 9 to 5 that was really draining and I could barely put food on the table, and then I finish work and I have to go and drive and pick them up from school and then drive and maybe get the step kid, because often that's part of the that's part of the thing nowadays, right? So I
yeah,
have to drive to one school and pick up my kids and drive to another and pick up the step kids and then take them back. And then by the time I get home, it's already like 6:30, and now we got to cook them dinner. And by then you're like, well, I can't be asked to take them out, right? I'm tired. The kids are bouncing off the walls, whatever, whatever. And then, of course, it becomes this comfort thing on both levels. It's like the
yeah,
comfort for the adult is I just want to sit on the sofa and watch TV and relax. And then the kids need entertaining. So the easy cop out route is here's an iPad, right?
plug them
Take
in.
that and leave me alone.
Yeah,
Take that. And anyone that's ever seen how a child reacts to a phone, an iPad, a TV, whatever, like it does something to their brain. It hypnotizes them, right? Like
nah,
it's the weirdest thing ever. That 9-year-old who stays round every once in a while, he comes around, he goes, "Can I watch Minecraft?" All he wants to do, put YouTube on the TV and then watch Minecraft. And we have to regulate it because he'll stay up till 4 in the morning as a 9-year-old,
yeah,
locked in. And it's funny because he's really chatty, he's really social, he's a really cool kid. But as soon as Minecraft goes on, you speak to him and he doesn't even hear you. You're like, "What do you want for dinner?" Like, ignores you completely. You're like, "Hello, hello." He's
yeah.
like, "What?" Right? Like, he's so hypnotized by it that me and Mrs. Camel are always like, "Nah, that's not going to be a rule in our house because it just seems to be, But I get it because if you're not got plenty of free time and control over your own destiny or whatever else, then I completely understand if you're already tired from waking up early and then going to work and all that other stuff, then it's really, really difficult to say, well, now I've come home from work, I'm just going to ignore my tiredness and hunger and everything else. I'm going to go and take them out and do something with them. And then, of course, by the time it gets to the weekend, you'd hope they get taken out. But again, if you're knackered from the week, you've been driving around all over the place. There's a good chance you want to just say, "Here, man, take the iPad. I'm gonna go and chill out in front of the TV." Um, so yeah, it's easier said than done, and I think it also speaks to where we are in the economic cycle with inflation as bad as it is, and the ratio of wages to houses and everything else. Like a long time ago, you could have probably had the man earn the money traditionally, and the woman would have had ample free time to look after the kids, take them out to play, and all this other stuff. And now you've got to have the man and the woman working
Mm,
and someone else to go and pick the kids up from school, right? And there's very few hours left over.
yeah.
So I think that also speaks to where we are. Just like, it is harder. It's harder to make enough money to get by now than it ever has been. So
It's a massive pressure, and I I listen to people every now and then. They go, "Oh yeah, well, they should you should, maybe if you're a parent, you should put yourself out a little bit more, and you should take that response." And I think, fuck me, come on. There's the way you just described that day. That probably a lot of people can resonate with that, and you're knackered. You're
yeah,
absolutely knackered, and if and you didn't even mention husband wife time or partner time in that. That didn't even come into it.
that's a good point. That is a good
You
point.
didn't even mention that bit.
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So
Yeah.
that's another strain and another stress that gets
Yeah.
well overlooked because, yeah, you know, the kids are everything. I've heard this at all. You have children, your responsibilities change, da, da, da. But you still got each other. But that again is another pressure that can be a silent problem if it's not a part of a relationship and dealt with. It's really frigging tough time. I really do feel for a lot of people out there. And then I can add some people haven't even got parents that
Yep.
give a shit. Some people haven't got parents to help. Some people are just left on their own. Some people have to bring up kids on their own, you know, and it's just massive, 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 massive. There's a few conversations I've had with people within the you know silver and gold community that I've been a part of, and you know regularly I listen to probably more so it's been recently how people are saying, oh, I can't afford this anymore, I can't afford that anymore, obviously because things are going up, and that's the same for everybody. But it sort of almost resonates when I listen to the tone of it. It's almost becoming like an added pressure. Shit, I can't even say for myself anymore, you know, and then you have to throw that in with everything you've just spoken about as well. You know, it's frigging tough, man. It is really tough for for people, and
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon.
No, probably not, unfortunately.
No,
Um, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because
it is.
people that have kids have a happiness and a joy in their life that people that don't have kids don't have access to.
Yeah,
But then, like I said, you know, the where we are in society and the economic cycle is like if you've got kids, it's a lot more expensive than if you don't have them. um,
yeah.
and you've got a lot less time and a lot less energy and all of this kind of thing. Yeah, it's yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough.
It is very tough, and it just brings up all sorts of stuff. Unfortunately, Kirsty, you've been very quiet here. You still there, or have you got to sleep? He's just thought, shit, what on earth is Dad going on about?
No, I am here.
No way
All
you're
right,
here.
it's still
Yeah,
there.
but you would have seen my little thing disappear.
Oh yeah, yeah. What do you think,
So,
babe? It's tough, isn't it? Tough being a mum, isn't it?
mm, I feel like I think most of it was covered, to be honest. But it is just, regardless of just you're bringing this new life into the world, it's all the other societal pressures that come with it, and financial pressures and everything that just gets thrown on you. It is tough. And I mean, to be fair, I am quite lucky. We do have a very, very good support system. We've got mum, we've got
Yeah,
Charlie's family, we've got you guys, and I couldn't imagine what it would be like if we didn't have that. Then I mean, I found it tough anyway. But that just would be, I don't know. It would be very, very tough.
interesting, isn't it? It's
Mm.
nice. I'm glad you've hung around
And
actually
a lot of people you
to say
don't.
that. Do
Yeah,
you
but I mean, like, do you know what? It's quite easy to say, do you know what, let's have a child, or yeah, you should have children, or whatever. But even I found when going through just pregnancy anyway, and no one tells you, no one tells you the gruesome stuff.
yeah,
You know, there's nobody there. I mean, to be fair, people can tell you, but nobody's gonna be able to prepare you for whatever comes. But it's so important to, and like you said, he missed out the part of um spouse time.
Yeah.
And that is something that's very, 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 very hard hitting when you like have a child, because you are responsible.
Wow. She's gone. Oh, she's back.
Hey.
That was really cool, actually.
That was rude.
I,
I got
well,
kicked out and
I
spammed back
didn't,
in.
I didn't kick you out, really and truly.
Oh no, mine kicked me out, and then I come back in. I thought, oh my God, am I talking to myself?
No, no. Sorry, go on. You were saying
Where did I get to before
you.
it kicked me out?
You got to partner time, finding it
Yeah,
difficult
and
to
you
find time for your
do.
partner.
Like, I feel, if I can be honest, me and Charlie did struggle a lot because you don't, before it was almost, you'd go to work, come home, and then it would be about used to. Whereas it it never did. And we did for a little while, didn't we? We
Yeah,
struggled. I
yeah,
mean, Charlie sitting next to me. And it wasn't until we sat and actually recognised that and made more of a conscious effort to know that what we're experiencing is because of the parental role, parental responsibility. I mean, I was at home all the time. He was getting out to go to work. So it was me like, oh, you get adult time. No, stuck indoors with the baby all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's pettiness.
yeah.
But like we did, we worked together and we just designated more time just solely for each other because at the end of the day, if you take everything away, take Grayson away, take whatever, it began with me and him.
Yeah,
And it's important to remember that,
yeah.
because without me and him, there's no foundation, there's no building blocks for what we want as a family.
That's a great point. That's a really good point, actually.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I still want to kill him half the time, but he's half decent. He's all right.
Well,
You should see
poor,
his
poor
face
old
right
Charlie.
now.
So, Kirsty, is that a general reflection with all your friends and the people you know your day-to-day friends? Do you ever talk about that sort of thing? Is it a
Um,
struggle? Does
yeah,
everyone's struggling?
everyone's struggling, and it's just, I mean, I'm lucky for the mum friends that I have made. We've all got such a great sort of support network.
Yeah,
So it does ease it, but it is just a crazy, crazy world. And I mean, obviously, when we had Grayson, it was like COVID. So that threw everything out of the window. Everything was different, and now it's not so different. It's strange. But it is tough. It's tough for people. It's tough on relationships. It's even tough on families. Everything.
Hmm. Does that put you off, Camel, having family, having kids now? He's
To
gone
be
as well.
fair,
All right.
I never really wanted them, but I understand life enough to know that my wife needs them, so I have to take it on the chin, like, you know what I mean?
I feel like as well. This is not me being sexist. Before anyone jumps down my throat, a woman's role parentally is so much different from a man's role, and that's not me being thingy, because I can see it both sides. Because, but like you said, back a good few years, it was mainly women stay at home with the children, men go out to work and provide, and the women take care. They do the house. They do. That was the very much stereotypical role about it. And as you said, now it is more 50-50 where both do that. But I don't know. Like I say to Charlie, I say, I'm what you're called the default parent. Your kid's sick, I'm off. And he's picking up from school, it's me. And dropping him to school, it's me. It's you have a 50-50 parental role, but I feel like more falls on the mother's shoulders. I don't know, Dad, I might be wrong, because I don't know whether that's just in couple roles. I mean, I don't know how you felt about it, obviously, when You obviously,
Bringing
it
up
would
you
have been a bit.
lot.
Yeah, because obviously it's different with you because you obviously, I don't know how old I was, but then obviously you had Aaron.
Yeah.
So you had both sides of it, you know? Because it was, you done everything that I couldn't I've asked more from you growing up, but it's almost, you had to do the distance thing, but then you
Wow.
also
Yeah,
had
it was hard
to
work.
be at home and be present in that
Yeah.
role for Aaron.
Yeah, it's hard. It's tough. But getting back to you saying, I'm not sure whether you're right or wrong. Well, you're definitely right because it's your point of view. And, there isn't a right or wrong, really, to be
Yeah.
fair. There really isn't. And obviously, what, obviously, you know me. Well, I hope you do. Yeah. And I just had to, through all those different circumstances, I had to make decisions and hopefully they were the right ones. And I believe it was the right ones. And everything sort of worked out. And it's given. And like you say, with foundations, it's you guys, all three of you, have got a good foundation at the moment while we're still here
Mhm.
to support you on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
But you're right. There isn't a right or wrong. You just have to get on with it,
You do
take it day by
indeed.
day, and it's just so important. There's a few little things that you said there, which having a network of support, and that's not just
Mm,
with your parents.
mm.
It's your friends, having meeting
I
people,
mean,
and you haven't done that sitting at home on your arse, have you? You've got
no.
off your arse
But the
and
thing is as well, where I wasn't young, but I was too young.
talk up a bit,
My,
babe.
I'm saying I was young. I wasn't young, but I was young when I
Yeah,
had Gray. So a lot of my friends, they're not at that stage of their life.
yeah,
So when I had him, I found it, obviously, I was on maternity leave, so I found it so incredibly lonely because I'm like, I can talk to my friends, but it's not relatable,
yeah,
And I mean, one of my best friends now, she's a mum friend that I made when Gray was 3 months old. And it is just having the social side that of you can have people that you can relate to about children stuff because you can talk to anyone about your child, but unless you have children, you're not going to get it. You're not going to understand. But it is for like being a mum, having that other mum interaction. It's just it's something you do need.
yeah, 100%. And that works both ways. That's
Yeah.
like for the men, for the man.
Hmm.
You still need that man stuff in your life.
Oh yeah.
And just like the ladies need lady stuff in their life, it's so important to have. And I think you really emphasize that brilliantly by saying you've created and made a network to support your day to day, and it's so important, so important. But the flip side of that I was sort of briefly talking about earlier on, was there's so many people that haven't even got that,
I
and
know,
it
and it's incredibly
breaks my
sad.
heart.
Yeah, it's so sad
Mm,
because I even at the points where I felt like, oh my God, this is like unbearable for like the pressures of like you're going to work, you're dropping them off, then you feel like, oh my God, I've just had enough. For somebody to just be like, "Do you know what? I'll have them for 5 minutes. Go take a shower or
mm.
go walk around the shop or something like that, where you can say like some people literally don't have that at all. And I just
Me
think,
time.
how do they not go insane?
Mm, mm,
How do they do it?
mm. It's that human resolve, isn't it?
Mm, mm,
Human resolve. But then the flip side of that is it can also take you down a dark place,
of course. Yep.
you know. And that's, like Camel was saying, his wife's a nurse, and I thought you probably found that quite interesting.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Then you get these, added pressures already put on a pressurized system. It's bad. It's mad. And
to be honest, I'm still quite surprised it hasn't gone bang, that it hasn't burst. It seems because there's just you think of how it is now and how much pressure is there, how much. I mean, I know a lot about like staff shortages and just people in general that just need help, and there's just not enough ratio of like care workers. Even when I was working in care, it was the same, and it's just how much more can it take before then what happens? We don't know, and that's a scary thought because, like he said, it's easy to obviously say about privatising staff and like pros and cons and things, and it's scary to think. And I mean, when I'm rambling here, but when I even see like having like I compare it to like having a baby here to like having a baby in America, and people in like £25,000 debt just for having a baby, and you think that's just like standard. You scan in the hospital, pop it out, back in the hospital, barring anything that actually went wrong.
Yeah,
Barring like I had an emergency C-section, so that's more money.
yeah.
And to think like I couldn't imagine like just for having something like creating a life, you're looking at like 30 grand's worth of debt. It's crazy.
It's mad, isn't it?
Hmm. But how much more can I poor NHS take?
Yeah,
Yes, and they do a good job.
they do. Yeah, they do. Like all the public services, they do. Sorry, Camel, go on, mate. You want to say something?
I was just going to say, do you know what's really interesting to me?
Yep.
You two have the same cadence in speech.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, it's really fascinating. Like the way you pause and finish the sentences and all this kind of thing. Yeah, it's exactly the same. It's really fascinating. It's really awesome.
I just think my brain goes at a million miles per hour and my mouth can't catch up with it.
Yeah, I think that's the same with Andy, to be fair.
It don't stop. It just goes. And that's why sometimes, like I just said, I'm rambling because I've got about 50 things that I want to say, but it's not coming in out. See, not coming out in any order.
I think you expressed it brilliantly there.
Yeah, I do as well. Can I ask
Thank
as well,
you.
is that an Essex accent?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I thought it might be. I got some family in Essex. I was like, that sounds familiar.
Well, I like to say Greater London. Well, I'm not your typical Essex girl, but it is. I've got. Oh, well, I muted myself. Oh, I'm not good with this. Is
But
it
you're
back?
fine. We can hear
Oh,
you. Yeah, you're
Do,
fine.
do you say do you say trousers and chips or do you say trousers and chips?
oh, I don't know because if I say it now, I'm going to say it more like the posh version, just so I don't seem that awkward. But if you caught me probably on a normal day, it'd probably sound like the second one.
Trousers and chips.
You
Yeah,
know,
trousers.
yeah, you get quite a few. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, you know what I mean?
Hey,
Oh, Dad,
Chemo.
why'd you do that?
Hi, Kirsty. Excuse me. Chemo. How you doing, dude? Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, let's check if this microphone works. You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, it's working fine, mate.
Nice. Well, I am driving still, but I figured I'd come in and listen to what's going on. Then maybe I can give comments. And I got a little something I got to handle, but I'll be listening,
Okay, mate. No worries.
and then I'll be on.
Okay, no problem. No problem. Thanks for coming on. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, Camel, to get that perspective? I wasn't expecting that, and that was really cool to listen to.
Yeah, do you know, it's really strange. Like, I say strange, I'm not sure if strange is the right word, but it's really, I think, interesting. It's interesting to me because I'm quite old not to have kids. Like, most people my age have got kids, and my brother, Elf, has just started dating a girl with a kid, and we went to her 1 year old's birthday yesterday, as I said earlier, I think. And when we walked in, I thought it was going to be like a proper party, right? And there was kids everywhere. It's like loads and loads of kids, all the way through the spectrum of age as well, like all the way from one to like I don't know 16, 17, whatever. And yeah, loads of parents and stuff. So like we're chatting, partying and stuff. Clean partying though, and Yeah, do you know what was really fascinating? Like me and Mrs. Camel were observing, and they all seemed so happy. They all had loads of kids. There's loads of kids running around. The kids were really nice and stuff. And like I said, the full spectrum of ages. And yeah, like I've I've kind of always approached the whole kids thing as I wanted to position myself to be ready for them, even though my entire life people have been like, "You're never ready, just have them now." Right? That's what I've always heard my entire life. Oh, you'll never be ready. Just go ahead and do it, blah blah. And I was always like, "No, I want to have a nice big house and a bunch of money and free time, blah blah blah." But but yeah, like it's really interesting that I'm kind of coming to the realization that like none of that shit actually matters, and it's more about the experience of having the children, right? Like I see people that seem a lot happier than me, and they got nothing. They got
Yeah,
nothing, but they got a bunch of kids, right? And
yeah.
the kids are nice, and like they get their purpose from their life from trying to raise these kids, and yeah, it's just really interesting to me because, like I said, I'm quite old not to have kids, and my wife's a lot younger than I am, so I kind of get away with it just about, but we're getting into that neighborhood where it's probably got to happen next year, I would think.
Well, when you do have kids, when you end up having kids, you have to realize that your life is no longer your own. Your life uh, becomes a provider.
Yeah.
It's kind of like thinking that you can run a business. Say you're a carpenter and you're like, well, I can build houses or whatever. And it's like, well, why am I working for this guy when I can work for myself? And then you open up your own company, and about a year down the road, you realize, wow, I'm no longer doing any carpentry work. I'm just running a business full time and managing people and finances. This has nothing to do with what I signed up for.
Right, right, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Same difference.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. Right, I'm just going to mute because I need to have a pee. So excuse me a minute.
All right, Dad, I'm gonna shoot anyway because I'm going to bed. I will get
All
up in the
right,
morning.
okay. Thank you very much for coming on, baby.
Oh, I know.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
meet you,
having
Kirsty. I
me.
hope you
Nice
didn't
to meet you. It's fine. I just had you guys in my ear, so it's just nice. It's nice to hear Dad as well. So
Yeah, it's really.
I hope you don't think I'm too wacky with my conspiracy theories.
to be honest, no wackier than what I see every day. So you're all right.
Okay, happy days, happy days.
Bye, Dad.
Wicked. Love you lots, babes.
Love you
Take care.
too.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later. Bye bye. Bye bye.
All right, let me ask Chemo some heavy questions while you go
Right.
for a wee then.
Sorry, dude. Yeah, don't go too heavy because I miss it.
Chemo! Chemo, are you there? Chemo.
Yeah, I'm right into this meeting. I got to handle this for like 5 minutes. Right at the perfect timing.
Where are you right now? Are you still driving, do you say?
I'm parked, but I got to meet somebody over here, and I'll be right on in like 5 minutes, bro. So
Scoring a quick bag of crack, are you, Chemo?
that's the move. Pull out a chart and give us a Bitcoin update while we're waiting.
Yeah, I will do. I will do. All right, I don't think I can pull up a chart, but I will talk to fill the space. Bitcoin is currently at 79,600 and change, which is pretty wild. I'm liking the backdrop at the moment. Everyone's pretty bearish. Everyone is doubting this rally, which tells me we're going a lot higher. And what else is there to say, right? Long and strong. We'll see what happens, I guess. We got Uncle Andy in the bathroom. We got Chemo scoring a dime bag or something similar. And me trying to fill the space. And I'm not very good at talking, apparently. So yeah, but Bitcoin's cool. Let me check gold. I think gold is top for the weekly cycle, but that's to be determined. The dollar is concerning to me. Speaks to deflation, I think, but to be determined. And the stock market closed at record highs as of Friday. So that's pretty sick, right? Can't deny that. But at the same time, I see a whole heap of people getting really excited about the stock market creeping up. But I'm getting increasingly nervous. And I'm happy to be wrong about that for a while. But I don't know, man. I've seen enough blow off tops to know this isn't going to last much longer. But we'll find out, right? We'll find out. The big question for me is, if the stock market tops in, let's say, this year, before the end of this year, what happens to Bitcoin? Is Bitcoin's bull run muted? I would think it possibly is. But yeah, that's all we got to say. That's the charts covered. And Uncle Andy's back just in time, which is cool. Hey, Uncle Andy. How's it going? The most
sorry,
jank podcast of all time. How's it going?
Yeah, not bad. So, oh, freaking hell. Me bloody webcam's gone funny now.
I gave like a quick market summary to fill the space. Chemo's, I think, Chemo's in a car park doing something dodgy.
It sounded like it, didn't it? What an interesting perspective, though. I'm so pleased you come on.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Nice to have a lady's voice on as well, isn't it?
Hey, let me ask you something as a man that's had children.
On that.
Is it as scary as it seems? Is it something you can't prepare yourself for until it happens? Is it totally worth it and I should just do it? Or should I buy a boat and sail off and try and convince my wife that we don't need no kids?
Okay, I think you said quite a relevant thing when you was talking, and that was being ready.
Yeah.
Now, I had a rough idea that I wanted to get to 30, and hopefully things worked out a little bit different to the plan. But I wanted to get to 30. Hopefully that I was sort of maybe got over my wanting to play golf all the time, going down the pub with my mates. I had 2 German Shepherds, really into that, going away with the clubs. I mean, we was doing all sorts of things. We was at crafts and all sorts of, really had massive loads of interests during my 20s. Really made the most of life, really. And with we sort of made a decision with my partner at the time that, you know, I'd get to 30 and then maybe that, you know, as long as we ticked all the boxes, got to where we want to be ish, but, you know, nothing too special, but sort of got the stuff that I wanted to get done, you know, while I could. We enjoyed, a lot of my friends had children young, so we had the benefit of enjoying that with our friends. So yeah, I sort of set myself 30, and then we went for it, and you know, and the rest is, well, there's a history there, but I was kind of never regretted doing that personally. So I get what you're saying when you said you want to be ready, but I also get what other people say is you're never really ready, because when you actually have children, it it's just different. It's so different. It's I don't know, it all depends on what sort of person you are. I'm a very hands-on person. I had the mentality that if I was going to commit to have children, I would take that responsibility very seriously. And I wanted from day one to know that I could always look after my kids. So I took on that parent thing right from day one. And because my mentality was, well, if I ever lost my partner, I want to be able to cope. That's the way I was brought up. But that made it even more of an enjoyable experience, because I got to, I think I got a deeper bond with my children by doing that. But I was ready. It was relatively easy. We didn't have the struggle some people have to you know, to create children. It kind of all just fell into place, and because we was both sort of mentally ready, we just took it on the chin and got on with it and enjoyed it, really. So there was a few things happened afterwards at some point, but that's another story. But But yeah, I would never ever think that I would ever not want kids. Now I've experienced having them, if that makes sense. Now I might have been fortunate. I know a lot of people have rough rides and whatever, but I can't reflect on that. All I can reflect on is my own experience. But I think if you're going to have kids, I suppose I would always say make sure that you want kids. I suppose I wouldn't have a I wouldn't go for having a child just because it made someone else happy. It would have to make me happy too. But that's me. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Because it makes
Hey.
the journey, from what Kirsti was saying, that, the foundations of the relationship, albeit mine went wrong. That's what happens. But the foundations of the relationship can come under a bit of stress, but that can be overcome because as parents you put the kids first, so
Yeah, it makes sense.
and,
It makes sense.
as adults you get over your issues.
Yeah, it makes
So
sense.
does that so it's not easy. It's not I haven't particularly found it hard. I found it really enjoyable. It's tough, really tough,
Yeah.
but that's a state of mind more than anything. And if you've got that state of mind that you're going to take that responsibility and bring in a life into this world, from my personal point of view, I wanted to make sure that all the time I'm alive that I would give the best, try and be the best dad I could be. And
Yeah, I understand.
that means pushing yourself sometimes and going through experiences that you've never experienced before. But yeah, cracking on with it, just got to crack on and do
Do you
it.
know what? I tell you, it's kind of I'm being half facetious here, but uh, years and years ago, my Mrs. Camel was like, "Can we get some goldfish?" And I was like, "Nah." She was like, "I want some goldfish." I was like, "Well, what are you talking about?" Right? She was like, "Yeah, we can put them right here. They look awesome. We'll get some fish. We'll feed them." I'm like, "You got to clean them out." She's like, "Yeah, it's fine, it's fine." I'm like, "Come on, what are you doing?" Anyway, we get goldfish. Within a week, she's like, I'm over it. And I end up having to look after these fish, clean the tank out, blah, 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 blah. Right. Some years go by and she's like, I need a puppy. I'm like, what do you mean you need a puppy? She's like, I need a puppy. And I'm like, we don't want a puppy. We've both owned dogs. You know how much work they are, blah, blah, blah. No. I need a puppy. I need a puppy. All right, fine. So I don't want this dog. Now, glory be to God. I believe this dog was sent to me from God, and he has become my best friend. And I've never been more happy with any dog ever. I've owned loads of dogs over my life, and this dog is someone else. So no regrets. But the objective reality is Mrs. Camel wanted a dog, and I ended up having to deal with this dog. Right. And now she's like, oh, it's time we had kids. And I'm like, I look at the fish, right? That was me. That was all on me. I look at the dog, that was all on me. And now you want kids, and I'm gonna end up raising these kids. And I'm sure it's probably different when it's children, the mother-child bond, whatever else. But I'm always just so skeptical because I'm like, I already did the fish, I did the dog, and like now am I gonna get stuck raising these kids when, blah blah blah. But I think in a way, you said like don't have kids for someone else, and that's kind of weird because that makes logical sense. But at the same time, I realized that my wife is never going to be happy without children, and I don't really want them, but I know if we had them, I could probably get really into it. Well, I would get really into it because
Yeah.
I've grown up, as you know, with no dad. So I know exactly what type of dad not to
Man,
be.
yeah.
And I know the importance of having a father figure, right? So I know if I had them, like I would be really into it and I'd dedicate a lot of time to it. But at the same time, it's like I'm gonna have to get some new cars, ones that children's seat can fit in, and like, what about like I've got plans. I want to sail off into the sunset, and like you can't really take the kids with you. You know what I mean? I'm like, maybe I'm just being really selfish about it, and maybe my perspective would change once they were here. But But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a weird one. I've managed to get like quite late in life without having them.
Yeah.
Well, your
But yeah, at the
priorities
same
definitely
time, I
change.
don't think you can just be like, well, women can get through their life without having them. Like if I try, I feel like I'm aware of, I know my wife well enough to know that if I try to say you're not having children, like she will forever be, let's put it this way. She'll be more unhappy if she doesn't have kids than I will be unhappy if I have them, right? So
Makes sense.
like I'll get into it. Once they're here, I'll be like, yeah, that's cool. It's my kids. Let's do this. But I know that if we never have them, she'll forever be like, "Oh, I never had kids." You know?
Sorry,
Yeah,
Ken, what was you saying?
your your priorities are definitely going to change once you have those, have children, because you'll think I'm going to sail off into the sunset, and then once you have kids, it's like, nah, I don't care about that anymore. Your whole the whole paradigm shifts, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
It will, and what, one of the interesting things you just said, from your childhood, very similar to mine, is you've got that mentality. You've got that mentality about being a dad, although you don't know what a dad is yet. What being a
Yeah,
dad
you're
is
right.
yet.
I don't. But I
But
remember the things. I remember the things I had to teach myself. That I
yeah,
was like, oh, I probably should have had someone teach me that, right? Like I learned this way too late in life, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, you'll be fine, dude. You'll be absolutely fine. It's the greatest thing ever, especially when your son or daughter's put in your arms right at the very first moment. Amazing feeling, absolutely amazing feeling, and you will change. You'll become Camel the Protector. You will.
I'm sure I'm already quite protective of my family,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying.
That bond you've got with your dog will then go on steroids.
I hear people say this, but you
Yeah,
don't know the
well,
bond I got with my dog.
you don't know the bond I've got with my cat. It's the same, but it's different, dude. It is different.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say you can't imagine it until
No,
until it happens, and then it
no.
changes your whole perspective. And
Yeah.
yeah, chemo kind of just said it, like it changes your whole paradigm.
Yeah,
Um,
look. There you go.
I can see
It's
your pussy.
steady on. Steady on. Yeah, this cat's like a dog to me, it come into my life. I relate what you're saying about your dog. It sounds stupid. A lot of people just say, "What cat, dog?" That's a joke. But they can make a definite impact on your life at certain times. But your kids, yeah, it's a strange one actually. It's a strange one, but it's beautiful. I'll tell you. Well, you can see. Look at that interaction. I've just had my daughter on here.
Oh yeah, I can see. Yeah, I can see.
It's just to have that bond now. At these ages they are now is just ridiculous. It puts all that. Yeah, it's amazing, dude. Yeah, it's
You
something
know,
that obviously you've got to sort out. But go
you
on.
know what I think that you know what I think the crazy thing about it is, it's like I I live kind of like a selfish life if you think about it, right? It's like I get to choose what I do with my time. I get to choose what I do with my attention and energy. Uh, I get to choose whether or not I work today or go for a dog walk or go fishing or go see my family or whatever. And I'm very kind of free in that sense. But if suddenly I have children, then I'm going to have to relinquish that freedom.
Right.
And suddenly it's going to be like, oh, I've got a kid now, so that has to come first. And oh, I want to go fishing today. Well, the kid needs this, right? Or like, oh, I want to just like not work today. Well, the kid needs this. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's going to be the strangest part of all of it is switching from, because I've lived like the vast majority of my adult life on my own terms, and so to suddenly be like, okay, now I have to live it putting someone else first will be quite starkly contrast.
Yeah, I get that. I get that totally. But I will kick back slightly on. I think that if you're that person that likes to do certain stuff and like that freedom, I think that unless you take that to an extreme, what you do is adapt, and your freedom becomes different, but it's the same if you get off your arse and include your children in your freedom.
Okay, yeah.
But if you relinquently give up your so-called freedom to the child or the children, then you are in a way maybe missing the point a little bit. The whole point is to bring someone into your life and share your life with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It does have to adapt, obviously, because you can't just right, I'm going down the pub, see you later. Which you can get, which you can get away with your dog and leave your dog for a while, even as a puppy, you know.
Nah, he comes with me.
No, I'm just saying. No,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
just saying hypothetically, you know. But you know, it's just, you know, initially, you got the baby stage. That's, you know, it can be tough and that can be hard. But you know, if you want to go down a pub, then when they're 1 or 2, there's nothing stopping you going out and socializing and taking them with you. It's where people use children as an excuse to stop living. That's a bit, that can be a bit of an excuse, but obviously I understand people's circumstances are different. But at the end of the day, you can still, you know, take your children for a walk, and it doesn't cost anything. You still go and feed the ducks, it doesn't cost anything. And to be fair, most of them will just go and rather feed the ducks than sit at home doing naff all. You know, you can be creative, and if you're an out person, you can take all that out bit. If you want to get a boat, why not? People don't stop buying boats just because they have children. It just means you have to be a little bit more careful, I suppose, but it doesn't stop you enjoying shit, does it?
Yeah, but like you can't enjoy the boat to the fullest, right? You can't have like 5 bitches, whole heap of crack. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can have a boat, but you can't have a boat, right?
You've got me there, dude. Totally.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I have to give up some freedom here, but yeah, it's cool. Yeah, no, I see what you're saying though. Yeah, I do see what you're saying.
Then you could also live vicariously through your children, where, you know, as we were growing up, we all remember our childhood. It was like, we wish we could have had this, we wish we could have had that. And then when you're able to provide those things to your offspring, you can kind of live that joy that you missed out on when you're a child. Be like, oh, I wish I went to the amusement park or whatever when I was 10 years old. Then you get to do that for your kids, and it's like, well, that's like something that's repaired in my past, because I didn't get to experience such things, and now I'm able to, you know, let the kids do that. And I'm sure they're going to grow up with things that they wish they had, and they're going to do that to their children. They're like, I wish I had this.
Yeah.
My dad would never let me have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
My dad wouldn't let me go on the boat.
With the boats and hose.
What's with all the bitches, Dad? Why can't I come?
Oh, so good.
That's so funny.
I was just thinking about the responsibility of children. Recently on the news over here in Ohio, there was a lady that was charged with neglecting her kids because she went on vacation. She went to Florida, which, you know, it's a 1.5, 2 hour flight, and spent 2 days and left her kids at home unattended. And it's like, are you crazy?
Nuts.
That is just beyond me. I never thought I would have heard a story like that. Wouldn't even cross my mind. Like, the kids need, you know, you need to parent them. Like, no, they'll be all right. And these were like 6-year-old, 10-year-old children. They're like, yeah, they could fend for themselves. I think one of them was still in diapers, which is just crazy to think about. But yeah, you don't need to be responsible. It's just very advisable, very advisable to, you know, sacrifice some of your freedoms.
Crazy.
That's mad, isn't it? It'd be like, oh, Uncle Andy, what are you doing this weekend? We've chartered the boat. We've got a load coming in from Colombia, and, and the bitches need servicing. Oh man, crack me up, dude.
Gotta have that pimp hand.
Exactly. Chemo knows.
Love
Oh,
it, love it,
dear.
love it. So, did you ask Kem about what's the backlash like over in America?
I didn't.
Since,
I didn't. I'm going to go to the
since
toilet. So, yeah.
okay,
Chemo.
good.
Yeah. Ask Chemo something.
Ooh, the backlash in America. You talking about
Yeah,
the election, eh?
yeah,
Oh, dude. Well, seems like Donald Trump had a blowout election.
yep.
Did very well. Got the electoral college. Actually, got the popular vote, and the left or the liberals are extremely um, diseased. Like they're really uneasy about it. They feel some of them are fearful for their lives, which I think is just crazy. But yeah,
Wow.
they're like their world is ending from what I'm seeing in the feeds and the people that I've interacted with in person. There's like heavy discussions going on where they're not necessarily like really mad, but they're like, oh, this country's going to go down. This is bad. Like um, they're they're kind of afraid that the economy and the way of life is going to change drastically just because Donald Trump is a convicted felon and Donald Trump is accused of this and that and la la la. And yeah, if we knew the rest of our politicians that they're not convicted of,
Yeah.
they're just as guilty as everything else. So yeah, I've interacted with some left leaning people that were definitely disheartened by the win of Donald Trump, which he won so decisively this time. I really didn't expect him to do that, but I guess there's a lot of people apparently that are very they're worn down to a nub over the past 4 years. They're like, this is worse than it was 4 years beforehand. Not realizing that it's probably just going to keep getting worse anyway. But
Yeah.
and these people that are in power, they're not in power to help you for the most part. I could be very wrong about Donald Trump, but I see it all as the same entity, and they're just treading water. You know, they'll argue stuff in the government and parliament and stuff, or in the Senate, and they're just stalling. Nothing's getting done. There's no drastic changes, but we'll see. Donald Trump's promising a lot. We'll see what he gets going.
Yeah.
I'm
It's,
I'm reserved with my anticipation of what he's going to actually do, though.
yeah. It's kind of, I was talking to Camel about it earlier. I kind of hope that what has been said is carried out for a change, and there's just that bit of a feeling that possibly we have got the opportunity for change going ahead. But I'm like the deep down, I sit there and I think, is it just another leopard, different spots?
Yeah,
Can I
exactly.
can I hop in here? Chemo,
Yeah, of course you can, dude.
earlier on before you were here, we were I was kind of speculating that there's a theory out there that Trump was always in charge and that Biden was never really in power. I would love to get your thoughts as an American, if you wouldn't mind. Do you think there's any merit to that Trump was chief in command the whole time, commander in chief the whole time? Or yeah, if you got any thoughts, I'd love to hear it.
Oh, I've got plenty of thoughts on it. I've heard this several times. I have people in my entourage that are of that thinking. I say probably bullshit on that. But if he was in charge of the whole time, then why did he let all the crap happen? Like, why would you do that? So I would say hogwash. Like, he was not in charge. a lot of people wanted to think he was. But you know, when we trade, we'll enter a trade and we're like, oh, I'm bullish. I'm going to buy this. It's going to go up, and we stick to our idea, even though we're invalidated, and we're like, no, I could feel it in my bones, and we don't want to give up on the idea that the price of our asset will go up, like gold or Bitcoin or whatever, and we'll stay on that no matter what, and we'll explain away that Biden won the election or how he won the election, and just say, no, actually, it's all smokescreen. Trump's still in charge. Like, well, if he's in charge, why did he let a bunch of illegals in the country? And why would he have allowed transgender athletes and all that? Why did he let inflation get the way it was? So if he was in power, then yeah, he's just as bad as the other side. So I wouldn't hold too dear to that narrative, because that just means he's a piece of crap. If that was the case, so I'd say hopefully not, that he was not in charge and everything got kind of turned on its head, and now things will hopefully get set right. That's my thinking. Uh-oh, did my mic cut out?
No, it didn't. Sorry, I was
Okay.
waiting. I thought Camel was going to reply to that. Sorry.
Because I am driving, so I don't know if my mic is going to cut out or not.
I don't know if Camel's still there, actually. Are you still there,
No,
dude?
Camel's mic cut out.
Yeah.
Oh, he's muted. Yeah.
Yeah, I am still here. I'm hanging out the window smoking a cig, but yeah,
sorry.
you make some very good points actually. I hadn't considered. So
Yeah, that's, you know me, man. I'm all about game theory and thinking things through and overthinking them, and then putting pieces of the puzzle together and be like, what's logical here? And logically speaking, if he was in charge, that's probably bad, and if he was not in charge, it's probably better for things overall.
What's your deeper feelings on it, though, Cam, going forward? What would you like to see?
Oh, what would I like to see out of Donald Trump? Wow. I'd like him to steer clear of what I am expecting to come, but that has to do with the economic hardship and financial problems that either president, whoever was going to win, was likely to encounter. So we're likely to encounter some kind of financial something. I don't know what it is. So if he could steer clear of that and somehow navigate it so that the least amount of people get hurt, that would be great. I'd like him to get rid of the pedophiles and child trafficking. That is major. Hopefully he does that. Illegal immigrants coming into the country, I don't really mind, as long as they mind their business and, abide by the law for the most part. And then, yeah, prosperity for all. I don't know if there's anything else that you're thinking about specifically, but that's kind of my thinking.
let me ask you this, Chemo. Number one, do you think there's anything Trump can do to prevent what is likely coming in terms of recession, bear market, economic downturn? Let's start with that. Do you think there's anything he can do to prevent it, or do you think it's just like the writing is on the wall?
I mean, initial thoughts is just the writing's on the wall. There's not much that can be done. Some pain has got to come in some form or fashion. My hypothesis has always been we're either going to enter into a very inflationary period or a Great Depression. So either one, I think, is painful. Either one is possible and equally likely. But no, I don't think there's much can be done to avoid it. I'm not seeing a way to do it. I mean, if I thought of how to do it, I would start, making that my YouTube channel and just start talking about that. Like, this is what needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't think anyone can stop what's coming. And the next thing I want to ask you, Chemo, is do you think he's going to print? Like, do you think he'll just run the printers quickly, or do you think that's going to be a long and drawn out process?
Well, last time we heard Federal Reserve Chairman Powell, they were talking about, I think you had it on your video on Deep Dive, or maybe on Friday, how he just said, no, I won't abide to what the president says. If the president asks me to step down, he has no control over what I do. So imagine them kind of fighting it out for a few weeks, maybe a few months, where Jerome Powell is just sticking to his guns and Donald Trump is, sticking to his guns. Uh, because who does the Federal Reserve serve? They serve their shareholders, the banks, and they may very well be against Donald Trump, and they want to hold on to their profits, and it's all a big shell game of who's going to win the money pit, or the money pot, if you will.
Let me ask you this, Chemo. So, as you just said, he was asked if he would step down under Trump or whatever, and he said no, right?
Yeah.
Did they just signal to the world that the Fed is above the president? That the Federal Reserve, which is a for-profit corporation, is above the jurisdiction of the president? Is that
I would say so, yeah. That's my take from it initially. Just how callous and how quickly he responded to that was very authoritative, like showing like, yeah, nobody could stop me. I don't bow to the president. I have other masters,
Pretty wild, right? Wild times.
it wasn't even a second thought for him. He didn't even have to think about it. He's like, no, I know what master I serve.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I think they're going to duke it out for a while before the money printer starts. It'll probably start faster than a lot would think, but not as soon as would be helpful, most likely.
I'm still working under the assumption they're going to be reluctant and late to print. I think they've spent so much time running this narrative of we're trying to tame inflation, we got to be restrictive with interest rates and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think they're just going to suddenly pivot and be like, yeah, we're back to outright balance sheet expansion in QE. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to take some time, and it's probably going to coincide with that 4-year cycle low for Bitcoin. That's my hypothesis, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we will see in the next 6 months. That's it's probably going to, before I could say what's happening, but my expectation is something, cyclically speaking, something bad is coming for crypto in May or June, and that's just, how I use those cyclic lines on the chart. Well, I took the 2017 hard fork, and that was when they made Bitcoin Cash, and that was something that was pivotal for Bitcoin.
Yeah. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, you said Bitcoin Cash, pivotal for Bitcoin, and then you stopped.
Yeah, so that was the first pivot of the cyclic lines. The next one was the COVID drop in 2019. And then the next line in the cycle, like just timing the cycles, is the FTX collapse. And the next date that you would be waiting for is May or June of 2025.
Is this the Fibonacci? Is this the Fibonacci thing?
No, it's not. It's that cyclic lines. You know how you count the days for your daily cycles? When I just use the cyclic line.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just use the cyclic lines on a weekly chart and just went cycle to cycle to cycle, thinking that maybe there's something to this, having a chaos cycle where crypto endures some kind of chaos rhythmically every, 3 years or something like that.
Okay.
That would have been 20. That would be like 2.5 years.
Does that project a low around May?
Not necessarily. It just says chaos.
Okay.
You could go into a cycle peak in March or something like that, May, top out, and then something bad happens. Government intervenes with something, or maybe you top out in January and then you have a downtrend, and then there's like an FTX type collapse next summer. It's just my idea that we may have a cycle of chaos that happens in Bitcoin. I don't know if it's going to play or not. Not at all. It's just something that I'm thinking, keeping in the back of my mind, I guess. It's not tried, tested, or true. It's not like the daily cycle or 4-year cycle. Not trading advice at all, but just something interesting I saw.
Cool. We'll look out for it.
That that could coincide with something blowing up in the financial system or banks blocking you from buying the Bitcoin. It could be a um, broader chaos, financial chaos. I haven't necessarily done that with the banks yet, but the XLF, that ETF that I track for the banks, the overall financials,
Yeah.
in the US, that thing is almost coming to target. That thing was ripping at the end of last week, and it's I think at 46 or something like that. My target is like 52, and then I'm expecting
49,
something.
49 as of Friday's close.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's got like 42 to 43 was my target, and I think that's a 1-to-1 fib extension from the COVID drop to the peak to the down low. So it's reaching a target.
It gapped from 46 to 49 on Wednesday, and it closed at 49 and change, 49.50.
Yeah, yeah, a bunch of gaps in all the charts. That's kind of what I'm. That's why I sent you a message. I was like, watch holding positions over the weekends because these gaps, that'll
Are going
be
to be
everybody's
nasty.
downfall. Yeah,
Yeah.
not necessarily if you're positioned already from like months ago, but if you're looking to open up fresh longs to try to chase this thing, it'll just gap down and you're stuck. And you just, okay, what do I do now? Wait for a retrace? You're probably not going to get it, because they trap that liquidity. And dude, it pushes up. This is definitely feels like blow off toppy type stuff the way it's pushing so far. We'll see how things open up later on today on the futures market. But what a push to close out the week.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, wild times, man. Wild times. We're living through a movie right now.
Yeah, Dow Jones coming to a target. I think 44K was kind of the target I'm looking for. I think you were looking for that as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it's right there. It's so close.
man.
I think the wild ride is yet to come. I think there's sunshine before the storm. There's an up and there's a down.
Meanwhile, Bitcoin is currently happily trading above 80K.
Is it at 80?
80,463 bucks right now.
Oh, that was my take profit from my ad. I just added, I think it was right before I got on. So I took profits already and I was like, oh, I've got to add back. Well, this is a decent area. It's a pullback. All right. I got myself a little, I'm trading such a low time. Not on all my accounts. I have one account specifically that I trade the 15-minute chart. I'm not crazy. That's not my large account. I have fun with this. Well, you know how we are as traders. We sit there, we're patient as hell because we're waiting for the setup. And you could wait days or weeks or months sometimes. So yeah, I keep myself busy with a little day trading account. So
Man,
yeah, I just added to that.
To this day, I have never been able to make money trading day trading. To this day.
Well, it takes a specific set of circumstances, I guess.
Yeah,
to learn.
I don't know what it is. Like I've for a long time I've been fine on swing trading, and I'm like every now and again I'm like let's just try this day trading stuff out, and it never works. It never works. I'm always mad at myself. I'm like, why did you think you're a day trader, bro?
Yeah, I wish my mentor was still teaching it. That dude was just a market wizard. I've never seen anything like it. Not not any of these Jesse Livermores or who's a good trader out there, Drunken Miller, all that. They got nothing on this guy. This guy is ridiculous. He used to have a Discord, and we would be in the Discord, and just randomly a message would pop up where he'd say, "Pump incoming," and like 5 minutes later, everything, the entire market, S&P 500, Nasdaq, Bitcoin, gold, everything pumped substantially. And for weeks, we're like, what made you say that? It's like, he's like, I just, you could feel it. I don't know. But he's just that experienced. He had like 20 years experience. He's kind of retired now. But yeah, crazy methods that he has. And he's the one that kind of taught me the legs, the matching legs thing.
Matching legs, yeah, that stuff's crazy.
Yeah, and that stuff works really well for the day trading.
Cool.
So like the way that I trade is similar to the way you trade. Kind of trade the daily, you get your swing positions on, you make money there. But for day trading, it's the same concept, just more volatile, and I don't know how to explain that. It's definitely more choppy, but your stops are very, very tight, and you get stopped out more often than not. And it's just, the winners run, and you still trade the same trend setup. If it's higher highs, higher lows, you trade it up. If it's lower lows, lower highs, trade it down, and you're in validation. And that's when he was teaching me, that was the key to it all, was really tight invalidations, and that's how you're able to get to day trading. So now I use that method of day trading very small time frames to enter my daily swings. Like, I think we were talking like 2 or 3 months ago on Bitcoin getting that cycle low, and it popped up into liquidity. I'm like, that's a place to take 25% off without even thinking. And it could keep going. Well, I use my day trading techniques to re-enter if I need to. But yeah, I can pyramid into a position like nobody's business. And, if it's still making higher highs, higher lows, you keep trading the trend. Take profits along the way. That's why I'm always closing. ABCs of trading, always be closing, bro.
Kimo, have you noticed the negative sentiment? Here's my perspective, right? Bitcoin puts in a 7-month plus base. And then most recently, it starts making higher highs and higher lows. Somehow, almost no one notices. Then it breaks out to new all-time highs. Now we're at 80K. And all I see is people going, I'm not buying that.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, this is a trap before a rollover to 49K. Like, do you also observe this disbelief on this breakout?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I could feel it myself. Like, if I'm honest with myself, my emotions say this is going to dump. Emotionally speaking, mentally speaking, that's my feeling right now. But that doesn't mean it's going to. The trend will tell you what it's going to do, and liquidity. So most people want to get in. Like I said that on my video that I posted. It's like, here's your money, sir. Like, they're not going to give it to you on a silver platter and be like, hey, would you like some more money? We'll give you a 3-wave pullback. It'll be perfect. Your perfect entry. And this is something my mentor told me. He's like, why are you waiting for a 3-wave pullback? You think they're going to give that to you? Why? Because they want you to buy it? They don't want you to buy it. They want you to buy 94, 95K, 100K.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that sentiment is kind of like climbing the wall of worry, and it'll keep pushing up. And they're like, until eventually the capitulation happens, be like, oh, I'll just nibble a little bit. And then it starts going in their favor, and they're like, oh, I guess it's safe. I'll add to that. Yeah. And that's when it reverses. Wherever that's going to be, I don't know.
Yeah. As far as I can tell, we got to go a lot higher before people actually give up and start chasing it.
Well, my thinking is the short squeeze. I've been talking about this for weeks. I mean, probably about a month or two, is just saying, we might see a weekend short squeeze, and then the futures traders panic close, and that panic close turns into automatic buys, market buys.
Yep.
And yeah, that could mimic the pattern from 2023, where it shot up very aggressively, and the weekly wick actually retraced substantially. But that would just be clearing out all the liquidity and all those orders up there to then potentially come back down, give you a liquidation to the downside, and then the path is clear. Then you could just go up. You could just start moving up normally. But I do think we're running out of time.
Macro wise.
Yeah. I mean, S&P 500, Bitcoin. I think gold looks so dang good, though, on the high time frames. Like I put on my video, that relative strength index, it just shows strength. It doesn't show divergence like a lot of the other charts are showing.
Yeah. And
you see what happens when it shows strength. It's only halfway.
Yeah.
That's another one that's going to be a panic buy some gold.
Yeah.
But why? Why are we panic buying gold, though?
because the debt is wrecked.
So if the debt is wrecked, this is something that I keep watching on your videos where you're expecting the yields to pull down.
Yeah,
And
explain
this
the
debt,
yields to me. Explain the yields to me. Why are yields bursting higher? My only explanation is that everyone was trading in the same direction, and so to have the market move the other way. That's my only explanation. So if you can enlighten me as to why yields are suddenly rallying as if the Fed was wrong to cut rates, I would love to hear that.
well, that I don't know if they were wrong to cut rates. I think they're trying to cut rates to tell the market that the rates are going to go down. But the only reason that the yields, I guess the only reason the yields exist is to get people to buy the debt, right? So the Treasury will offer 2% to 4%. Now they're offering 5%, 4.7 or something like that on the 10-year yield. So if the price of those treasuries goes down because there's too much supply, they need to incentivize the buyers by jacking up the yield on them. So they'll offer 5% to 6% until somebody says, okay, I'll take 5 or 6% at this price. I'm okay with that. So there's definitely bullish divergence on a weekly chart on the 10-year yield, which, I mean, in Elliott wave terms, you'd look at that like a wave 4. So it looks like it wants to spike up and break the top for like 8%, which would be crazy.
8 would be
And
insane, right?
yeah, that would collapse everything, right? That would freeze up the financial system, in my opinion, because credit would
Yeah.
be way too expensive. And if we think about what's happening with the Treasury, I mean, they just printed in the past month, it was a half a trillion, something like that. I mean, it's
Yep.
getting exponential. With it used to be 3 months, they pumped out a trillion, and now in 1 month they're doing half that. So at that rate, you know, by summer of 2025, the debt is 40 trillion.
Yep.
It's just going, and I think the market may be fearful of that. But if the Treasury is issuing so many treasuries, they have to offer a more attractive yield to get the buyers to buy the U.S. debt. And the more they do that, the more expensive their own debt is to service, and then they need more money to service it, which then spirals out of control. It can get really bad. They might just lock up the system. And like several of the discussions that I've kind of had with the W.O.T podcast here is like, they make the rules, we don't make the rules. So if something really bad happens, they'll just suddenly change the rules and be like, okay, we're not playing that game anymore. We're gonna play this, you know, like little children that are like, I don't want to play that game anymore because I suck at it. And they'll change the game. And that could be something that we're going to look forward to in the future, especially with a debt collapse, with the U.S. kind of running out their short-term credit cards, like maxing them out. And they're probably going to do it till the end of the year, and then the debt ceiling comes back into play, you know? My frozen?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
it's just
out the window.
wild times. Wild
That's-
times.
But it could get more wild.
Yeah,
Like this
it's probably going
bond
to.
market.
That's the craziest thing, right? It's probably going to get worse, right? It's
Well,
probably
the
going to get more wild.
bond market is the largest market in the world, the U.S.
Yeah.
bond market. If money starts flowing out of that or into that, it acts like a vacuum, or it acts like an explosion. You know, who knows what could happen with regards to that? And you could see Bitcoin hitting $500,000 just as easily as you could see it hit 20,000. You know, I don't know, but I think large moves are coming, not necessarily on a daily chart, but more on a weekly, monthly chart. It'll be larger moves than expected, more volatility.
Yeah.
Wild times, scary times.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, that half an hour just went straight over my head.
That's my game. I love it. I think Cameron loves it too. He's like, oh yeah, let's just
Absolutely.
talk Federal Reserve and finance and stuff.
I when I listen to it, I just think, thank God I'm a plumbing and heating engineer.
Yeah, but the fact that you don't know about it doesn't mean you're not going to get hurt by it. You know.
Absolutely. That's why I like listening to it.
No, I don't. I don't know if ignorance is bliss. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, it
'Cause,
can
like,
be.
I'm stressed about it, and I'm sure Camel is too, because we kind of
Yep.
see what's coming, and it's like panic attack time. Just like, wow, like if everybody knew what we knew, there'd be rioting already. It would be
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy.
100%. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it sucks.
Interesting.
It sucks.
Well,
And the horrible thing is it like sucks for everyone else, right? Like I'm gonna be fine. I'm sure Chemo's gonna be fine. Like Uncle Andy, I'm sure you got enough gold and Bitcoin, you're probably gonna be fine too. But
yeah,
it's everyone
I'm,
else.
I'm a happy chappy.
Yeah, everyone else is like it's like goddamn.
Yeah, but to be fair, it's as little as I know. I do sit there and think, well, I haven't just been going on about it every now and then for the last 3 years, you know. And if people can't be asked to get off their arse and learn about shit, then you're not really going to protect yourself that much, are you? Or have a chance of doing it.
Yeah, over the past 2 to 3 years, this definitely all took longer than I expected. Like I thought maybe May of 2024 might be it, but that was like a year beforehand. I was like, we got maybe one more year. Now here we are a year and a half later. Like, wow, we're really dragging it out. But hey, we're arriving to our destination point, seemingly one of the destination points anyway. What do you think, Camel? You think this whole thing has taken, like, since you started your channel? Do you think this has taken a little longer than you first
Oh
expected?
yeah. In my experience, it always takes longer than I think. But yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I was that's the biggest thing I get. The biggest pushback I get on Twitter is people are like, "When you calling for a top in July?" And I was like, "Well, yes and no." Like I said, if we break out, we might see a squeeze up into July. We never actually broke out. Yeah, I kind of thought this thing would be done by now, to be honest. And now I'm kind of like, well, it'll be done by the end of the year. And there's always a chance that I'm wrong again. And
Oh yeah,
it's
definitely.
not going to be done until Q1 of next year. But really, like, what's a few months, right? Like, it's like, I think a lot of people get hung up on the date. They want you to say it's going to top on the 31st of May, right? And
Yeah.
really, like, as long as I'm long and strong until the top comes in, then who cares, really? Like, from my perspective, picking the month that it tops is obviously really difficult, but as far as I can tell, like we are getting closer and closer. Every day that we keep going up, I think you should be more and more concerned, frankly. That's how I'm seeing it. Like,
Especially if it keeps going the way it's going.
yeah,
Past
and
couple
like
weeks.
it's really weird because I'm currently long everything, and so you would think like the more it goes up, the more I'd be like, yes, more money. But it's really not like that. Like the more it goes up, the more I'm like, oh shit! Like you realize how bad this is going to be when it actually pops. And yeah, if it takes like 1 month, 6 months, whatever. But at some point, the thing is going to break. Like we're in that final vertical phase now. Like you only have to
Yeah.
draw 3 trend lines, and you're like, oh damn, we're in that third and final angle now. Like we're going near vertical. So I've never really seen a third angle that keeps going forever, right? Like at some point they break, and when they break, they usually break spectacularly. So
Yeah.
so yeah, like
Yeah.
I think we're getting closer than ever. A lot of people seem to be focused on the month. I can't give you the month, but I can say long and strong for now, and I'm more nervous than ever, frankly.
Yeah. The time is one of the more difficult things, which I only started studying time the past like 2 years, which is why I come across your channel and I started studying the cycles, which is just a godsend. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
But like the higher this thing goes, the more pain would come after. The more pleasure you get, the more pain that comes thereafter,
Yeah.
seemingly. As far as timing it, though, I have ways of studying time and certain expectation. Like I had something in the timing model that said July to August should have been a peak. My next timing stop is right at, well, between Christmas time, December 25th, and January 25th is
Yeah.
now my next timing factor. And then beyond that, things are potentially super explosive into May for some reason, maybe, or it should be very volatile between February and May, either up or down. I'm not sure which yet. But yeah, once it breaks, it's look for that lower low close and just run for the hills.
Yeah. Hey, Kimo, I was in a Twitter Spaces a couple of weeks ago with some of the melt up gang, if you want to call it.
Yeah, the air mass, yeah.
You know, it was funny, right? I said, yeah, air mass, ice trader, that kind of thing. And it was funny. Like they were all like, oh yeah, it's early stages of the bull market. We're going up only forever. And I hopped on and I said, look, guys, 3 angles. We're in the third. And I said, if you project this third angle out, right, it gives us 6,400 on the S&P by the end of this year, right? And so my question is, and this is what I said, right? I said, my question is, if we're at 6,400 by the end of the year, are you not at least a little bit nervous? And their response was, oh, if we're at 6,400, I'm more bullish than ever. I was like, bro, these third angles can't last forever. Like, you can't just keep going up near vertical. Like, if we're at 6,400, like we are really, really, really in the danger zone. But yeah, it's kind of weird. Like, I seem to be the only nervous guy here, like, or one of the very few that are nervous. Like, and I'm even seeing it in my comments. People are like, "Why are you so bearish if you're long?" I'm like, "Bro, I can't describe it. Like, I'm long because the charts are going up, but like I'm super nervous under the hood. Like, it's not a normal thing for me, you know. Like, ever since the lows, I've been like, yeah, bullish, melt up, all of this stuff." But we're in that
saying,
neighborhood now.
Bearish? Why aren't you expecting it to go lower? Why are you bullish at the low? And it's like, because this is how it's done.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. I'm like long and strong and bearish all at the same time, and that's fine. But I'd rather be wrong about being bearish and stay long than the other way around.
Well, yeah, we still got to trade the chart. Like I was saying earlier, like Bitcoin rising up on the weekend. Personally, I feel, yeah, this is a pump and dump. This is a weekend scam pump. But the chart says, hey, keep going. So I'm going to keep going. I'll keep riding it as long as the 4 hours in a higher high, higher low.
Yeah, I mean, we're above 81K right now. Like,
cool. I'm good with that. So we're going to close the future. Now we're going to open futures in like 30 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. They might panic out, and then you get something that we've never seen. Well, we haven't seen in a long time, maybe.
Yep.
Weekend pump 5K. Yeah. I wanted to do a video last night, and I just didn't get around to it, and just like, crap. And I was pumping today. I was like, wow, there's people that really need to understand what's going on, that sometimes you just ride the wave and don't panic.
Yeah, one of the biggest things here is just not to get thrown off the trend, right? You just got to sit in it and allow it to give it the space.
And watch for the bullish dumps. Yep. I call them bullish dumps. When you have a very strong trend up, you're going to have very strong moves down that don't change the trend. They just go down or right back up and then just keep on as if nothing happened. And if you put it on the line chart, totally looks fine. It looks totally fine on closing price.
Yep. Wild.
Ridiculous. But yeah, the price keeps pushing up to 64 and you want to be more bullish than ever. As a day trader, yeah, I'm fine with that. As somebody that's been swing trading, that's definitely high. I'd say what I could see happening is 6,666, only because the bottom in 2009 was 666, so that would be a 10x.
Oh wow!
I think that might be a price where it just caps right there, maybe.
Sure.
Just because of those sick bastards want to play a joke on people.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's something to watch. I was actually going to make a video about the S&P as well, because it's ripping. Everything's ripping, and it's definitely going to get crazy. And I think we're going to have everybody as bullish as possible towards the end of the year. And they're like, all right, 2025 is my year. Double down, baby. And it was just raised up towards the end of the year for tax purposes to, have the most amount of unrealized capital gains that are taxable.
Yeah.
Or something crazy like that. You never know.
Uncle Andy, weigh in. What are your thoughts?
Mate,
well, no, Trump Trump gets inaugurated on the 20th or 25th.
Yeah, and it's right in
So-
time for a Bitcoin 60-day cycle low as well.
Yeah. Or, well, that could be a lower low, and then it bounces from there. And it was a buy the rumor, sell the news on his presidency.
Yep.
Maybe that's something to watch for. I mean, this is months away, but I mean, if we see things progressing in the charts and you get sometime in January a lower low close on a weekly and then a pump up into Donald Trump getting inaugurated, that might be the sell the news event. I don't know, but we'll try to track it in real time for sure.
Yeah, we will. We will. Uncle Andy, weigh in. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are most of the stuff I have no idea what you're going on about. To be honest, and to be fair, it doesn't a lot. I'm not a trader, so I don't really sort of want to understand it too much. But I do find it fascinating, and the only thing I can say is from what I do, Camel knows what I do, but I've just took the simplicity of a basic line chart, having my lines on there, and that tells me pretty much exactly what's going on. If I need to panic, if I don't need to panic, if I don't even think I want to panic, because my what I'm trying to achieve is totally different to what you guys are trying to achieve. But I find the simplicity of having those lines, those trend lines. I mean, I know Camel, you say you've got your 3 that you go by, and I've made 5 just as a precaution. But it's simple for me. It's just simple. I'm not nervous at this moment in time. I try to understand and take as much knowledge from, guys like yourselves and put that into what I'm trying to do personally. And so far, fingers crossed, hopefully I've been a bloody good student, and well, my portfolio tells me I have. So I just want to protect that, and by listening and educating myself, just not with with used to, but with many other people that I've got a bit of faith in that make logical sense to what I'm trying to achieve, and that takes a lot of work. I put a lot of hours in, and yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Love it. Absolutely love it. And I've loved tonight. I can't believe over 3 hours has gone, dude. Guys. And you've both gone to sleep. And I'm not drunk, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's funny to think about. Like me and, well, being any other trader, but me and Camel, we could just talk and we're like visualizing the chart while talking, and we fully understand what each other is saying on the chart because we know these charts like the back of our hand.
Mm.
And somebody who's an onlooker will be like, "What? What do you mean?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
64. That's not even that much. It's like 6,000. That's only like $400. Like it's a massive percentage."
Yeah, I knew you was on about the S&P anyway. So, but that's cool. That means I've take some. I do listen, and it does help. Just having a little bit of knowledge helps, just because it gives you an idea of what's going on more than anything. And there's trends, there's patterns, there's sentiment. There's all sorts of shit going on in the world. But
yeah, the more you can simplify it, I think the better for anybody involved. The less thinking you have to do about it when something is automated and just takes care of itself.
Yeah.
Keeping your strategy very simple.
Yeah.
You could definitely overthink it, but when it comes down to actually implementing it, simplicity is key, in my opinion.
Before I go, before I wrap it up, can I ask you both a question?
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay. What is your definition of go pop?
A woman.
No. Go pop and being really bad.
What?
You both mentioned that at some point it's going to go pop and it's going to be really bad. What's your definition of that?
Wow, that's a spectrum.
What do you mean by that?
I can go first. Let me go first because my answer is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Go pop, and what was it, Andy? Go pop and
You was both talking about, obviously it can't go up forever. It's going to go pop and it's going to be bad.
oh. All right, here's what I see. Here's what I see, honestly. When it goes pop, and I'm talking about markets, global financial markets, and when I say it's going to be bad, I am literally thinking top to bottom is 80% in the US stock market. That's what I'm thinking. And then when I say it's going to be bad, I think they're going to have to try to rectify this with QE that dwarfs what we saw in the pandemic era, which was 6 trillion. I think we're going to see a minimum of 10 and a maximum of 20 trillion of printing. And then I think that is going to resolve to interest rates that are hiked double where they are today. So that might look as bad as 40 or 50% inflation, CPI, and interest rates that resolve to double digits, 10, 11, 12%. And all of this off the back of an 80% stock market decline. That's what I think is on the cards.
Okay, what does that mean for you socially with like everybody else that's not following the markets?
It means loss of employment. It means a lack of ability to service mortgage debt and debt in general. It means if you struggle to pay for your groceries now, following the pandemic inflation, that it's probably going to get 4 times worse. It means a whole heap of pain and suffering. And off the back of the QE, I expect the commodities to go through the roof, which probably implies by the time we get to like 2028, we're looking at food shortages, gasoline, oil, gas, nat gas, all of that stuff is probably like unaffordable to a large amount of the population. That's what I think we are looking at, to be completely honest. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom here. It's just, it's like it's in the charts, right? I just look at charts and you go, that looks like the most probabilistic outcome. And of course, there's invalidation for every trade setup, but that's just what it looks like to me. Like that's why I'm so long, strong, and bearish, right? That's why I'm so nervous where we are.
Yeah, I've been saying that for the past 6 months to a year. I'm so bearish that I'm bullish. It's just that bearish and that extreme that there's so much bullishness that ekes out in the charts for me, and then I buy it. But yeah, mega bearish macro. It just looks like everything is coming to a crescendo of a pinnacle of. Well, I think we've already peaked as a Western civilization. The charts kind of say that, and this is kind of a throwover, if you will, financially, with the money printing. But yeah, peak Western civilization, I think, came probably before 2019, 2018, but maybe as early as 2008. And now we've just been kind of running on fumes. But yeah, I definitely see similar with regards to financial market. 80% down, maybe a little too heavy. I'd probably go 70 to 75, just to compensate for the inflation. Yeah, 70% or so down. But then inevitably the printing has to come back. But what does that look like? That's what I think is going to be weird, is the printing usually comes from the issuance of debt through the US Treasury. And if the Treasury market blows up, they don't have that pathway anymore. So they definitely have to maintain that. If there's a huge problem with the Treasury market, the printing is going to come directly from the Federal Reserve, i.e. the central bank digital currency, where you'll have direct financing through the Federal Reserve direct to banks, and then banks would distribute it most likely or something like that. And that's when things become unaffordable, like you're talking about. And that's when people get universal basic income through that financing from the Federal Reserve. And because of that inflationary effect, commodities have no choice but to become more expensive. Credit is way more expensive. Like you're saying, the yields are going to go up. So the credit is going to become more expensive. And that leads to shortages everywhere. Because that's just what happens when you try to control the price of things, keep them lower. It ends up inevitably giving you shortages. So either the price has to go up or you don't have enough to go around.
Wow.
What it looks like is a 2008 type of financial crisis, massive unemployment, and that's kind of the best case scenario from what I see. Worst case scenario is you're going to have portions of the population go Mad Max, and they can't afford things, and they will be there'll be a lot of violence, I would think, civil unrest that could lead to civil wars. I think they're kind of gearing the populations up for that anyway, across the world, left versus right, or whatever your flavor is. It could get brutal. At the very, very low end of the spectrum, you're talking people just going Mad Max. So high end of the spectrum is more like a 2008, and then we band-aid over it somehow, and everybody gets welfare, and we limp along for another decade or two. Worst case is it's all over, blow it up, and a lot of people go Mad Max. So we don't know what flavor we're going to get yet. Financial markets, there's an argument to say that we're just going to get a 1987 very, very quick flash crash. I could see that potentially happening, and then carry on. Don't worry about it for another 3 or 4 years. Eventually, the hens come home to roost, and that's it's just when they decide to do it to us, I guess. We're at their mercy.
Wow.
CPM.
I'm beginning to wish I hadn't bothered asking that question now.
My Illuminati friends are telling me 2028 is when the real crisis, like the real food shortages, Mad Max scenario unfolds.
Okay, so 2028, that happening, if you're, okay, say the yields on the 10-year jump up to 8%, that tightens up credit real bad. I think you could see the food shortages happening much faster than that, because that'll tighten up credit, and distributors won't have the financing to deliver goods to their destination. Like your grocery stores are empty at that point, and it's all based upon a just-in-time delivery system that we have that doesn't have the credit to facilitate it. So 2028, I think I was thinking the same thing, but in the event of the bond market like not functioning anymore, you may have that as early as 2026, end of 2025. It really depends. I guess we'll follow the charts in real time and see what they're doing, but we're definitely going into some wild times, and they could get wilder than we expect. I don't know. If you just think it through to its conclusion, what happens when credit tightens up? There's many aspects of our lives that will change drastically based upon credit, because right now we operate all on credit, and everything changes. Everything changes at that point. The way we do business, the way we travel, the way we, everything.
Wild times.
Oh dear.
Wild times.
Right. Can we leave it on a positive note?
I love you, CPM. How about that? Stay positive. Keep your chin up.
That'd be lovely. I love you too.
We
Positive
want
note
to
is
share in our demise. Me and Campbell have this depression that we're going through. We want everybody to share in it.
The positive note is we're all right for a little while. Right? For a little while, we're okay. And then we got to start preparing. But we're not there yet. So long and strong and bearish.
Well, yeah, there's the silver lining is we've still got a little bit of time to prepare. So time to be extra diligent. Use the things that you've learned and prepare. I'm more of the idea that we need to mentally prepare for things that are coming. Financially, I don't know that it may not matter. Like we're trading these markets and making all this money, but what if the rules of the game change and then it was all for nothing? But your mind is yours, and if you can prepare your mind, that's really what you need to protect. After that, everything you'll figure it out. Everything will fall into place.
Yeah, I
Just
agree.
mentally prepare.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Sounds really cool. Guys, I'm going to call that a day now.
Yeah, it's been like 3.5 hours, hasn't it?
That's probably one of the longest podcasts I've done. But it's been really cool actually. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's really diverse, really talked about so many different things, which is really cool. I'm gonna ask you both a favor.
Yeah.
I would like to challenge you on your last 20 minutes on the next time we're together.
Okay.
With some ideas. And I wanna try and challenge you and push you in a different direction to see where you can go with it. You up for it?
Yeah.
I'm always down for. I'm down for the curveball always.
But I won't be challenging you on technical analysis because I have no fucking clue what I'm going on about.
That's all we know, though. Do you mean like solo style, or next time you get us together?
No. I was kind of hoping to do it that next time we're on together, just as a little bit of a follow up with this one.
Nice.
If that's okay.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, going forward, guys, thanks for coming on. It's really cool to have my daughter on earlier as well. I'd just like to thank the members that we've got. Please, hopefully, if you enjoyed this, like, share, subscribe, all that normal stuff that we have to do. Please, Camel, we all know where we can find you, but if you want to say something, then please say it, dude.
No, thank you.
No, don't want to say anything. Great. Cam, your channel's building wonderfully quickly. I've noticed. If you want to say where anyone can find you, go for it.
They just find me wherever Camel's at. Really, I just post on his stuff because I like what he does, and I just follow what he does and try to add to it, try to add value there.
Yeah,
so that's where you find me, or on the W.O.T podcast. Hey,
yeah, definitely. Now I'm back, and I'm not pissed. I'm impressed. Coca-Cola, man.
Nice.
Coming like Cobra. Guys, thank you so much. Really enjoyed this one. I can't wait for the next one. Probably going to do this down the pub type chat thing. Try and really promote it on my channel. Try and get some people on. Just talking about stuff like we was talking about earlier.
all right. How about this? How about the next time you have me and Camel on as our follow-up? It'll be a members only, and it'll never go to the public.
Oh.
But maybe. Think about it.
What, and advertise it like that?
Yeah, try to advertise the membership because I mean it's what is it, $2, $3 or whatever. Come on, people, support the channel.
Yeah,
I think we'll try something like that. Not that I want to restrict anybody, but I really want to support what you're doing here.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's not going to be the driver, I don't think, for me going forward, but it's really appreciated because it does bloody help. But I want to really get people. I think with a membership, what I'm trying to do is try to really make people a part of a proper little community and get them involved somehow. You know, I know the people that I do talk to feel very intimidated when used to are on and Cobra's on because they feel that they haven't got that knowledge. And I keep saying to them, what knowledge do you want? You just need to come on and talk about anything.
Everybody's intelligent in their own way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm stupid in some ways. I know that. I've accepted that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Don't feel fearful.
That is the first thing. But people say, oh yeah, but Camel, Chemo, Cobra, you, Andy, you know, you all know what you're talking about. And I keep going, well, I don't know what I'm talking about. There's stuff that I haven't got a clue what's going on.
All of that is in their head, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Like it is literally just a conversation. And yeah, if you leave me and Chemo to our own devices, we'll just go west with the charts and all of that stuff. But yeah, like you don't have to have any knowledge at all about anything because it's just a conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's just a conversation.
Which is why it was a real bonus that my daughter stuck around.
Yeah,
you know,
with no knowledge of charts, and it went fine.
Yeah, she just texted me a little while ago, and she said, "Dad, I wasn't expecting to come to talk, but I'm really pleased I did." And I said, that was what it was about."
Yeah, definitely would like to get more members on here because it adds a new dynamic to the questions that can be asked.
Absolutely,
and questions that we're not even thinking about, and it's on their mind, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be great to have new members come in here and chat at the pub.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to probably try and make this quite unique, this sort of setup, maybe on a Sunday evening. And hopefully it go forward. So thank you very much, guys. Really appreciate it, as always.
Thanks, Uncle Andy.
That's okay.
Everybody, brilliant.
Yeah, take good care of yourselves. Keep crushing it. Keep crushing it, guys. You're doing a great job, and I can't thank you all enough for the information you give free of charge, I must say.
No problems.
Take good care.
All right. Cheers, guys.
See you later. Bye. Bye-bye.
Peace. Bye.